It's a very good evening to you. Welcome to the West Ham Weekly on the West Ham Voice on Monday night. It's almost the end of a very decent long weekend. Well, decent apart from one thing, of course, and that one thing happens to be the football. We'll talk about the game a bit later on. I'll bring you up to date on all the various gossip and news about West Ham, latest updates and so on. And we'll also talk about the outburst that Niclas Fullkrug had after the game on Sky Sports. And, give me your views on what you thought about what he said and how he said it and whether you think it was valid or not. Interestingly, Sky Sports tried to stir it up earlier today, didn't they, on Monday, because they put out a poll. First of all, absolutely slagging off Niclas Fullkrug for having done what he did. And then they, after, absolutely slaughtering the player, they put out a poll to see what fans thought. And something like 91% of the fan base, not just West Ham fans who voted, but 91% of the fan base all said he did the right thing. So there you go, Sky. You want to sanitize the sport, but some of us really do love the sport to be how it used to be. A bit of blood and guts and say it how it is. Anyway. We'll come to that later on. So what I'm going to do, before I even go into the chat, I'm just going to give you the quick roundup. You know what I do, the quick roundup on the women's team and the academy and so on. So let's get cracking with that so then we can go on to some of the other things that we want to discuss tonight. So first of all, that jumped a bit. The women's team, they got at the weekend another positive result at Chigwell Construction Stadium on Saturday. They held Man United to a goalless draw in the Barclays Women's Super League. That's Rayan Skinner's side now is unbeaten in 4 matches. Now, if you've been watching the show long enough, I've been kind of scathing of Rayan Skinner, and I'd said I didn't think she was very good. But fair play to her. She's turned it around. They frustrated Man United, who the third place in the league, restricted them to very few clear-cut chances on goal, and to keep their 4th clean sheet of the campaign, and the second in the last 3 matches. West Ham could have actually won the game right at the death. They managed to apply a finishing touch to a couple of moves. But you know what? Well done to them. The academy, they've got a very big week coming up because, first of all, the under-21s they face Sunderland in the round of 16 Premier League 2 playoffs, which starts on Saturday, the 26th of April, with a kickoff scheduled at 12 midday at Rush Green Stadium. Now, if you're bored with the senior side, you could go and get yourself a ticket to watch the under-21s play. They secured 4th place in the league, earning them a home tie against Sunderland, who finished 13th. You know what? I didn't really look into how the playoffs work, but anyway. So the 4th seed are West Ham. Mark Robson's side will play the round of 16 at home, the quarterfinals and the semi-finals away, and then the final at home should they progress. That'll be something to look forward to. The under-21s Premier League 2 journey started against Sunderland at the quarter-final stage last season after defeating Blackburn Rovers in the round of 16. And they were beaten by Sunderland on penalties following a 3-3 draw after extra time. That was last season. Earlier this season, West Ham's under-21s edged a 1-0 victory over Sunderland at Rush Green in January, a result that sparked a 7-match winning run, which lifted Robson's side from 13th in the league to 3rd. And they've done well. I mean, they've had a bit of a bumpy ride throughout the season, but they finished it off quite strongly. So Saturday's round of 16 tie will be open to the public. Tickets can be purchased at the turnstiles, priced at £5 for adults, £1 for under 18s, and season ticket holders can attend for free by showing their season ticket at the entrance. So if you fancy that, go and support the young lads. And then tomorrow, we've got a final tomorrow. The under 18s are preparing for their biggest game of the season as they travel to Select Car Leasing Stadium to take on Reading in their first ever Premier League Cup final. A journey which started in August. Loris Coggin's side qualified for the knockout stages as one of 7 group winners, beating Nottingham Forest and Premier League South leaders Southampton, and securing a draw away at Everton. In the quarterfinals, the Young Hammers beat last season's under-18s Premier League and Cup double winners, Man United, on penalties before defeating Derby County 3-1 away in the semi-final. You can also get a ticket for this as well. The game is tomorrow night, 22nd of April, starts at 7 p.m. You can watch the game live, which will be available across the club's website and the club's YouTube channel. You can also get a ticket for the game where only the West Lower Stand is open, but it will be open to supporters. Tickets are available via Reading's official website, with advance tickets available until 3 p.m. on the day. And the prices are as follows. For adults, £4 or £6 at the turnstiles. Concessions, £3, £4.50 on the turnstiles. And under 13s, £1 or £2 on the day. So good luck to them. Good luck to the under 21s and good luck to the under 18s as well. What about some loan news? Because we've got a big mixed bag this week. George Earthy, let's bring his image up. George Earthy played 81 minutes in Bristol City's 2-1 win over promotion chasing Sunderland, but was only a half-hour sub. That was last week, sorry. But was only a half-hour sub in the 3-1 defeat to relegation-threatened Luton Town at the weekend. So you see, it happens everywhere, doesn't it? No excuse for Southampton drawing against us. But 1 minute, a team is beating another team that's chasing promotion, and the next minute they get beat by a relegation-threatened side. Look, the defeat dented their hopes, Bristol City's, of getting even close to 4th place. Sunderland, Bristol City, remained 5th in the Championship on 67 points, with Coventry just a point behind them. However, another player in the Championship had a pretty decent week all round. Freddie Potts continues to be an influential figure for Portsmouth. He played the full 90 minutes in Portsmouth midweek away win against Norwich last week. That game finished 5-3 to Portsmouth away. Then at home at the weekend, he led the team to a 1-0 home win over Watford. Those 2 wins have elevated Portsmouth to 16th in the league on 52 points, 6 away from the drop zone. He's been very, very influential for Portsmouth this season. Despite having gotten 10 goals and 4 assists and rave reviews from Huddersfield Town fans this season, Callum Marshall has had a week to forget for the League One side. He played 56 minutes in the 2-1 home defeat against Cambridge United last week. Then deep into stoppage time, after coming on as a late sub today, he got sent off for a straight red for a high tackle. Huddersfield lost 2-1 today, which sealed Stockport's place in the playoffs, but Huddersfield look like they've now missed out on the playoffs, unable to catch teams above them with only 2 games remaining. Another player that's doing exceptionally well this season, Patrick Kelly, was a second-half sub in the League 2 game for Doncaster Rovers in League 1. Both occasions were wins with Kelly coming on. In 2 games, I said, yes, sorry. Both occasions were wins with Kelly coming on in the final 20 minutes in the away win against Tranmere Rovers during the week. Then in his 28-minute appearance at home to Colchester at the weekend, Kelly grabbed his 3rd goal of the season for Doncaster. The team are now top of the league, just 2 points ahead of Port Vale. And Mason Terry goes from strength to strength. He's been in action twice this week as well. For Hornchurch, where he kept 2 clean sheets in a row. That's 13 clean sheets this season for the National League South side. The first of the 2 clean sheets came in the 1-0 away win to Tunbridge in midweek, and then 2-0 home win against Toverley FC at the weekend. Other players, well, we've got one or two loan players who are missing. Fullkrug has missed his fourth game in a row for Real Sociedad with an ankle injury that he picked up during the Europa League game against Man United at the end of March. His absence could actually lead to a serious rethink whether the Spanish club want to sign the player on a permanent basis. And it might also mean a rethink for any club that was looking to perhaps buy him from other leagues. He may return to West Ham next season. Good or bad? I don't know. Kurt Zouma was not in the Al Aroba team who got beat 4-0 at home. See, if he was in the team, they probably only would have got beat 5-0. They lost 4-0 to Al Riyadh at the weekend. It is not known if Zouma is again out injured because he did return last weekend and now he was out of the squad, out of the team this weekend. And finally, on loans, Maxwell Cornet has also missed the last 4 games for Genoa in Italy after picking up a muscular injury. His return is expected to be next weekend. Let's hope so. And let's hope he hits the ground running. Otherwise, he's another player that could be returning to West Ham at the end of this season. Right. What about some main headlines? First of all, of course, pundits and journalists who believe they know everything about nothing are at it again. Now, whilst we still don't know what the outcome there will be of Niclas Paqueta's FA hearing, some pundits and journalists are predicting he's definitely leaving the club at the end of the season. It's been suggested that the player will actually accept a pay cut to leave the club, but we will also sell him for as little as £20 million this summer, hence losing a big amount of money on the player. Now, how these journos come up with these stories is beyond me. But then when you find out who's actually putting these stories out, it starts to make a little bit more sense. You see, there's a guy called Fabrizio Lopez. He's an ex-footballer in Brazil who seems to have become some kind of pundit or ITK in Brazilian world of football. He often provides stories for a website, Bola VIP, and they're always called exclusives or something like that. And this time he's pushing the story that Niclas Fullkrug is ready to quit West Ham to return to his former club, Flamengo. Now, we've been hearing this story for quite some time, and there are some things about this story that, in a way, are a bit twisted. First of all, the Paqueta willing to take a pay cut to return to Flamengo? Yeah, might be true. He earns around 150 grand a week at West Ham, and it's unlikely that Flamengo will be able to offer or afford to pay him that kind of wage. Secondly, that a move for around 20 million can happen. Flamengo are unlikely. Well, the reality is Flamengo are unlikely to be able to offer any more than that. So I guess it's true in the world of Brazil. But that does not mean for 1 minute that West Ham would be remotely interested in letting the player leave for such a small amount of money. West Ham could, of course, safeguard the sale by, if they sell him for a lower price, they could add a huge sell-on clause to the deal should Flamengo end up flogging Paqueta in the future. But what kind of percentage is really going to be appropriate or adequate to be added on for West Ham to be able to recoup most of the outlay that they've paid for the player in the first place? Look, all this is by the by, because if the FA find Paqueta guilty, he's not worth a penny. But if the FA find Paqueta not guilty, or if they find him guilty and that deem a small punishment might be somewhat a midway sort of, rather than banning him for forever, they might decide, oh, he's guilty, but we'll give him a 6-month ban or something like that. If that's the case, then I can definitely see Paqueta leaving West Ham, but we're not going to want, we're going to want an awful lot more than just the 20 million that apparently we're destined to sell him for. What a load of twaddle. Anyway, another player who was missing in the squad, in the lineup or on the bench against Southampton at the weekend is Edson Alvarez. Look, it's rather bizarre that because we were reading when Graham Potter first came to West Ham that this player, amongst one or two, was revitalised with a new manager coming in. And he was meant to be a key part of Graham Potter's setup. But clearly something is amiss. He's not injured. He took part in Friday's pre-match training at Rush Green. And then after the game on Saturday, he put a cryptic message up on his Instagram account implying, which implied that something was not right. He was wearing his Mexico national shirt rather than his West Ham shirt, and he wrote a cryptic message saying, "Time is the only wise man who never speaks but always answers." Make of that what you will. Maybe not speaking out because of not being selected, but he will show his value when he finally leaves West Ham, perhaps. Who knows? But it seems that Alvarez's time at West Ham does seem to be coming to an end, which is a shame because I certainly think, and I don't know what you think, he can certainly offer a lot more in the defensive part of midfield than, with the greatest of respect, James Ward-Prowse can. And there are some ludicrous suggestions that Alvarez could be another player leaving for next to nothing. According to some reports earlier on Monday, we would be willing to sell him for as little as £10 million. Whoever thought of that should have his head examined. Anyway, who are we meant to be getting in? Well, we've been hearing stories all of last week and today. Apparently, 2 years after we were chasing him from Fulham, João Palhinha is interested in returning to the Premier League, with West Ham amongst the club being linked to the current Bayern Munich midfielder. Look, at 29 years of age, turning 30 in a couple of months, I really don't think Potter or Macaulay are making Palhinha a priority in the transfer window. He struggled to make an impact at the German club this season. He'll soon turn 30. I think Potter and West Ham have had their fair share of players at that sort of age come into the club with little desire of playing for them. So I'm taking that with a massive pinch of salt. But I am interested in the latest story we've heard, some news from Man City, from Pep Guardiola, which may offer West Ham a fantastic opportunity to maybe put a bid in for 22-year-old attacking midfielder James McAtee this summer. The talented Man City academy player, former academy player, has only made 31 appearances in all competitions for Man City, but in those 31 appearances, he's scored 7 goals. This has been the breakthrough season for him. He's made 24 of those 31 appearances this season. But he's only just made 7 starts in all competitions, and only one of those has been in the Premier League. Guardiola used virtually the same kind of language, the same words that he was using when Cole Palmer was about to leave the club. Guardiola acknowledges McAtee's talent and sympathises with the player for not having had more starts so far. He said, I would love him to stay. He's a lovely person, lovely guy. He has the ability to create a bit like Foden. He trains well, plays in different positions, blah, 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 blah. And then what happens with him in the future, we will see. Now, the tones are very similar because soon after, when Guardiola bigged up Palmer, he was sold. Now, he knows the player, McAtee, is itching to play more. And just like many academy players at top clubs, usually the only way to get more game time could be by leaving. Now, Graham Potter is desperate to bring in fresh legs into our midfield. And with so many players possibly leaving or rumoured to be leaving this summer, he could do no worse than target a player like McAtee. Now, whether he wants to come to West Ham or not is another matter. In a way, it'd be an ideal replacement for one of our central midfielders, whether it be Paqueta going for 20 million to Brazil, or Soucek going for 20 mil to Everton, or Soler going back to PSG. McAtee has also represented England's under-21s, where in 18 appearances, he's also scored 17 goals for his country as well. McAtee will have a year left on his contract this summer, and at a value apparently being so low, so don't shoot the messenger, apparently the reason why he's valued at around 20 million is because he's only got a year left on his contract. Look, if we can't get an agreement to buy him, then why not go in with a loan option, whether an option to buy or an obligation to buy? Surely Potter would want to make a player like this one of his prime targets rather than someone like Palhinha, who's at the other scale of his 20s. Look, Potter is targeting a more youthful look for the club. And talk of Palhinha coming in is more agent talk than anything else. Whereas the McAtee one, I'd be interested to see how that pans out. Right, I'm going to go to match review. But before I do that, I can see I've got quite a few messages. So I'm going to scroll all the way up. How far up can I go? I think I'm up to the top. So Montana, good evening, mate. I'm not Potter out, but I'm very skeptical Pygmy whether he will support his vision. Good evening, Montana. I hope you're well. Montana, again, I don't see him building a young, highly energetic side to keep pace with Newcastle, Villa and Forest. I don't know. I think he might, if he's given the opportunity to do so, of course. Leslie, good evening, mate. I hope you're well. We need to see what he does in the window. If we sign 4 or 5 players under 26, this will make a massive difference to the style of play. Players with passion, we would be, and you cut off. Ralph, good evening, mate. I hope you're well. I have no faith in any manager who thinks Ward-Prowse is the answer. I'm not sure he thinks Ward-Prowse is the answer. Something is amiss, obviously. You've just heard me talk about Alvarez. I do wonder what's going on there. And maybe he's just looking around and going, well, I don't fancy Rodriguez, and I don't think any of us do. Maybe he doesn't fancy Irving. Well, clearly, not maybe. He doesn't fancy Irving either. So he's looking around. Well, who else have I got that can kind of do that sort of job? Look, if all was well with Alvarez, I'm pretty certain Alvarez will be starting ahead of Ward-Prowse. Whatever has happened there means that Ward-Prowse is getting the nod. I don't think it's because he's got faith in him. I think he's got no other choice. Graham, Ward-Prowse is a player without direction other than backwards or sideways and serves little to no purpose, in my opinion. Foxes, Cullen is in the Premiership again. Well, yo-yoed. Burnley, though, I don't think they're going to be the Burnley that went straight back down last season. I think you're going to see a very, very different, a very strong Burnley next season. Good luck to them. They've been promoted, haven't they? They've confirmed promotion today, I think. Ward-Prowse is average at best. Foxes again. I'm trying to give Potter a go, as I do all managers, but I'm starting to scratch my head. Certainly, we'll talk about the game in a minute, because certainly the substitutions were baffling. Good evening, Sean. I hope you're well, mate. Thank you for joining. Good evening to you, Stephen. How are you, mate? Did I enjoy Easter? I hope I'm well. Started off on Friday with mates round. We got a bit too drunk. We then went to the game. I said, I ain't drinking much. Got really drunk. Then we went for dinner to mates on Sunday. Had a few more drinks. I'll tell you what, I didn't get out of bed till about 1 o'clock this afternoon. I'm not lying. I'm not ashamed. I got out of bed about midday, 1 o'clock, something like that. Toho, good evening, mate. I hope you're well. Good evening to you. Epic, how are you? Good evening to you, Ray. How are you, mate? If Ward-Prowse is the answer, what's the question? Maybe which player will single-handedly lose Potter any remaining confidence the fans have in him if he keeps starting him? There's something going on. There's something going on, because in my mind, if all was well between Potter and Alvarez, then it'll be Alvarez starting over Ward-Prowse in my mind. Matt, what's the score now? It's 2-0. They're losing. Good evening to you, Matt. I hope you're well. Matt, again, I always get stick about Downs, but compared to Ward-Prowse during the last game, Downs did more. Unfortunately, he's in a poor Southampton side. He did well for us during 22, 23, especially when he's played out of position, etc. I would have kind of kept Downs. I would have kept him as a backup. I don't think there would have been anything wrong with that. Daniela, evening, everyone. Yes, it's been a poor season, but we need to stop with over the top meltdown. I was not Potter's biggest fan, but we need to give him time. And in the summer, see, we cannot sack another manager. Now, I did a show this morning. I recorded it last night. I did a show this morning. It went out this morning. And I said about, a bit like you, Daniela, I said I wasn't sure about Potter when we first linked to him. I reminded, sort of, I looked at his record at Brighton. I said they only finished top. They finished was 9th, and I wasn't convinced that he'd be the sort of player, head coach that would take us to the next level. But things change. He started off really well, started off quite dynamic, with a cup game against Aston Villa, and then a few other games like away to Chelsea, away to Arsenal, away to Aston Villa in the league, etc. And I thought, hang on. And then he, used Ollie Scarles, and I thought, wow, maybe, just maybe, this is what we need. But then it's all gone sour, isn't it? And we've had few and far between games where we've done well. Mark, how are you, mate? I hope you're well. If it was your money, would you trust Potter to coach the players bought with your money? I want to see him coach his players. Now, I know what's being said at the moment. I know that, and rightly so, fans are saying, well, hang on a minute, let's look at Wolves and let's look at Everton and let's look at other teams who have got other managers in that Wolves look great at the moment and Everton are doing really, really well and so on with a different manager. And I get that. But then you can look at the other side. Southampton had a different manager. That didn't improve anyway. Leicester had a different manager. That didn't improve anyway. So you got an argument on both sides there, that where you've got some managers who've taken over clubs, second managers in this season who have done really well. And then you've got other managers who have taken over and they haven't done well. So it's a tough one. Do I think that Potter should have done better with the team, with the players that he's got? Yes, I do. No doubt about that. I absolutely do. Do I think he's achieved? No, there have been small signs, but unfortunately, it's just small signs. There hasn't been a consistency. Anthony, good evening to you. Daniela, he's had enough time. Only 2 wins, got it all wrong at the weekend. What more proof do you want? Congrats to Burnley. I thought they did. Back in the Premier League under Scott Parker. That's who could take over from Potter, possibly. Let's see how Burnley do next season. Stephen, what do you think, Stel? Allegri take West Ham forward if bought sack Potter? They won't sack Potter at the end of the season. And Allegri, he laughed on camera when he was asked about a link to West Ham United. That's not the sort of manager I want at West Ham. When he's asked about West Ham and he laughs in the camera as if to say, leave off. No, thank you. Toha, it's bad enough, Stephen, that we got players that we don't think are playing for the shirt, let alone getting in a manager who's certainly not going to give a damn whether we go up, down or sideways. Toha. My 3 tunes of the day. I've got to do the chat. Sullivan should have, no disrespect, Toha. So, Sullivan should have walked into the dressing room after the game with a notepad and say, who doesn't want to play for the club? Sign here. Well, I don't know how good that would have done. Evening to you, Ed. I hope you're well. Good evening to you, Quebec. I tried to convince myself that he could do a good job, but now nobody can convince me that he is apt to be a coach. He's worse than Moyes. Please get rid of him now. Phil, Alvarez and Paqueta are 2 of our best players. Can't let them go. Wave goodbye to both of them. They're probably likely to go. Look, I certainly don't think we're going to sell them for peanuts, as these journalists have been suggesting. 20 million for Paqueta and 10 million for Alvarez. Do me a favour. But can I see them going? Yeah, quite possibly. I can see them both going. Anthony, question. Stel, would you have Pardew back if offered the job? He would jump at it. Yeah, I saw the interview that he did on radio. No, I wouldn't. He's been out of football for too long, to be quite honest with you. Usual. Toa, I've written them down and we'll give them a listen after Stel. Juha, good evening, mate. I hope you're well. All hammers. No cats. I did say to the missus, I need to bring some cats up because people are asking for them. They're all asleep downstairs. All 3 of them. All asleep downstairs. Who else have we got? Let's scroll down. Let's get a few other people in. Evening to you, NWO. I hope you're well. Thank you for joining. Please do subscribe. Yes, thank you. If you're new to the channel, first time you're watching the West Ham Voice, or if you've watched the West Ham Voice before but never considered to subscribe, please do so. Costs nothing to subscribe. All the content is free. And if you hit that little bell notification, it'll tell you when I'm next on and all that jazz. But at the very, very least, if you don't subscribe, please hit the like button. Thank you. Good evening, Paul. I hope you're well. Thank you for joining. Who else got? Howard, how are you, mate? Thank you for joining. Bo Lane, good evening to you. Good evening to you, Stephen. I hope you're well. And good evening to Catton. How are you? Thank you for joining as well. Leslie, Lord Ailes, hi. Talking to each other. Good evening, Clive. How are you, mate? I hope all things are well with you. No messing about. Smash that like button. Thank you very much. Let's scroll down. Who have we got? Dave, hello, mate. A very good evening to you as well. Thank you for joining. Cyber, long time no see. I hope you're well. Why is everyone a Potter hater? Come on, he's not had a window to improve and people on his back like dirt. Well said, Cyber. I hope you're well, young lads. Make West Ham great again. How are you? Thank you, Julian Lopetegui, for keeping us up. Well, ironically, if he hadn't got the points that he had, we'd be down. We'd be relegated, wouldn't we? Malkstar, how are you, mate? Thank you for joining. I'm cool with Fullkrug. I think most of us are. Schizo, how are you? Thank you for joining as well. Darren, hello, mate. All Fullkrug was spot on. At least he sees and knows what the fans see and want. Who else have we got here? Dean, hello, mate. I hope you're well. After nearly a decade, isn't it great to have a world-class team and a world-class stadium? We're so lucky to have such amazing owners. It's fantastic, mate. I mean, I can't wait to get back to the stadium again in a couple of weeks' time when we host Spurs. That will be. I mean, if we can't get ourselves up, as a fan base and the team, if we can't get ourselves up against Spurs at home, that's going to be a toughie, isn't it? Trodge, sorry I'm late. Too busy triggering Nick. Oh, Claret and Booze were on earlier, weren't they? Good evening to you, Trodge. I hope you're well, mate. Chris, how are you? Bridlington, good evening to you down in Bridlington or up in Bridlington. That was better than 10 hours traveling for Southampton on Saturday. Today, Grimsby Borough 0, Bridlington Town 2, and we remain in the Northern Premier League. Congratulations to you. Well done. Obsidian, how are you, mate? I hope you're well. Who else have we got here? Good evening, Bledar. How are you? I hope you're well. Debenham Dave, how are you? Thank you for joining as well. Leslie, good luck to the under-18s tomorrow night. Hope they win their cup. I'm kind of like half fancying, leaving work a bit earlier and getting up there. I went to the youth cup final at Arsenal a couple of seasons ago, and that was a great atmosphere. These young lads, they need to be supported, don't they? Who else have we got here? Andrew, good evening. I hope you're well. I never watch Sky TV because I don't like the people who are on there. I don't have it, so thankfully I don't watch. I only pick up the snippets that they put out on YouTube. Otherwise, I'm not going to pay any money for them. Frog, enjoyed the under-21s this season. Been refreshing from the other lot. They have been good, haven't they? Trudge, Rio Ferdinand on TNT, been decent this week as a pundit. He was annoying me before, but was in good in the Champions League, I thought. He doesn't do Premier League. He never did Premier League, did he? Always Champions League. Make West Ham great. Who are the players that Fullkrug was calling out? Well, I think one of them is going to have to be Areola, because he was talking about booting the ball up. So I'm guessing one of them was probably Areola, but I don't know. Who do you think he was calling out? Ian, evening to you. Up the under-18s, Hammers, absolutely. Hammers Football TV, good evening to you. Welcome and thank you for joining. Angus, hello, mate. How are you? Was wondering about that. Also, what were Potter's instructions to the players? Well, look, what was really interesting about what Fullkrug said was, basically he said the players weren't doing what the coaches want them to do. And I think that was quite interesting. That was quite telling, because if they're not doing what the coaches are telling them to do, you drop them, don't you? In the next game, you turn around and go, you've not done what I've asked, you're dropped from the team. So I think it's quite interesting. And it was interesting in a way. Now, I know some people have looked at those comments from Fullkrug and interpreted as being having a go at Potter. I actually don't think he was. Ironically, I don't think he was. Who else have we got here? Make West Ham great. I think the entire back four has been called out. Rated Kilman has been one of our worst ever signings. It's really interesting about Kilman. That's a good point. It's really interesting about Kilman because Kilman, I don't know, I've lost count how many times I've said this. Kilman in the back three, when he's playing in the central role, he does fine. Kilman in the back four, all of a sudden loses his way. Kilman in the back three playing on the left side, again, loses his way. He seems to be only competent and capable when he's in a back three and he's in the center of a back three. That's why I'm pretty damn certain that we're going to, if a Gerd doesn't come back, then I'm pretty certain that we're going to go out and get ourselves a left-sided centre back next season, and we will have an established back three. And I think Potter will play with the back three all of next season when he has that. Now, I know what you're all going to say. Well, we can't play so defensive. It's only defensive if you've got a back five, if your fullbacks drop too deep. But if you've got like a 3-4-3 system or a 3-4-2-1 system, something like that, and you've got your wing backs actually going forward, then it is only a back three. And that means you don't have to have a defensive. You can afford, in a way, to get away with not having a defensive central midfielder as well, because your central centre back can sort of move forward slightly. So he looks lost in a back four or a back three when he's playing on the left side of it. So yes, he may well have called him out as one of those players, or the whole back four, as you said. Trodge, have to watch the match again and see what was who was pushing up the pitch and who was dropping back. Yeah, I was thinking of doing that as well, because sometimes your memory fails you. You start thinking, well, Who is he talking about? But anyway, Darren, makes me laugh how Fullkrug was the only person that seemed pissed off with the game. Potter and Bowen didn't seem that bothered. You can tell how passionate he is and he cares for the fans and the club. Now, some people have suggested, Darren, that he did that because it's an angle to get him out of the club at the end of the season. So you can see it in both ways. You can see that he's got passion, or on the flip side, you can say, well, hang on a minute, he only did that in the hope that he gets puts on the transfer list at the end of the season. Who knows? NWO, I'm happy for Fullkrug to speak his mind. Trodge, make Fullkrug captain if Bowen didn't say much. Make Fullkrug captain if Bowen didn't say much. Is that true? Bowen did the usual. We were unlucky. We didn't play very well, etc., etc. The usual stuff that you kind of hear from most captains. Yeah, so he didn't say much more than that. He wasn't angry or anything like that. Making him captain, Fullkrug, I'm not so sure, to be quite honest with you. Yeah, fair play to him, that he spoke out, but I'm not sure that Fullkrug, he might stir them up a bit. I don't know. Frog, still can't get my noodle around how a squad with Bowen, Fullkrug, Kudus and Paqueta in it can't beat Southampton. How do you manage that feat? You tell me. Of those players, Bowen, I think you could argue, puts effort in. Fullkrug, I think, yes, he does absolutely get himself about. You've got to ask yourself, and I've been trying to defend Kudus and Paqueta for most of the season, but I'm just beginning to wonder now. I think both those players don't really want to be at West Ham, to be quite honest with you. Mowbray was sacked at West Brom. Trudge, I missed Bowen post-matching. It was kind of quite bland. He didn't really say much. He said, yeah, we played within ourselves. We didn't play well, etc. It's the usual stuff that you're hearing. There was no anger in his voice. So I kind of get what other people are saying about, Fullkrug's got passion, etc. Because Bowen was just like upset that we didn't play well, but he didn't go overboard. I mean, in comparison to Fullkrug, I don't think anyone did. Bryce, Jesus, I forgot Cornet could return. He can indeed. Oh, wouldn't that be fun? Maxwell, welcome back. Oh, you're injured, are you, mate? Oh, it's all right. You just go and sit over there for the whole season. Make West Ham great again. Bowen needs to concentrate on his game. Take the captaincy off him next season. I've heard many people saying that. And do you know what? Perhaps sometimes when the captaincy is given to a player, it can be a heavy burden. And maybe, just maybe, that's not necessarily the worst suggestion in the world. NWO, typical West Ham, perform at Liverpool, just turn up for the Saints. Oh boy. When you're at both games and you see just how much effort they put in against Liverpool last week, and then you see how little effort they put in against Southampton, you sit there scratching your head, mate. You absolutely do. Darren, wonder how training will be this week, in my opinion. I wonder how training will be this week. I don't think Bowen should be captain, to be honest. I think he isn't the same player since he's been captain. Kilman shouldn't be vice-captain either. He's not that good. Trudge, I think Bowen is such a nice guy. He took it on, but his form has not been good, as good with the extra responsibility. It's a good point. Evening, Mr. Cox. How are you? Good to see you on Saturday. We had fun, didn't we, watching that game? Bolin, yeah, more rant and frustration over the last few games. He has a point, but it was Potter that went 5 at the back to close out. That was like, oh, don't do that, please. When I saw Mavropanos getting ready to come on, I thought, okay, Tadebo's coming off again, like for like, and Tadebo stayed on, and Kilman stayed on, and Soufal stayed on. And I think Scars had already replaced Emerson by that time. And I thought, oh, God, he's going 5 at the back. They're going to score. And I think all of us around me said it. He's going 5 at the back. They're going to score. Make West Ham great. I wish we could sign a Dawson-type player and make him captain again. What's the player that we're apparently interested at Brighton, the 31-year-old or whatever? Apparently, I don't know if that's true. Angus, why were Bowen, Kudus and Fullkrug taken off on Saturday? Can understand if Fullkrug was tired, but Bowen and Kudus, I don't know. He's gotten into a habit of definitely taking Kudus off quite regularly. He's gotten into it. The irony, the massive irony about those substitutions on Saturday was Kudus and Fullkrug were beginning to get into the game. And then he pulled them off. That was like, why? And then when he took Bowen off, all right, he took Bowen off because he wanted to bring another striker on in Ferguson. Ferguson might as well have not been on the pitch, to be quite honest with you. Ray, good evening, mate. I hope you're well. Obsidian. Sullivan was going to swap Paqueta for a Flamingo, but then he heard it only had 1 foot. Gaza. Trod, you ain't coming on here to wind up still like you did, Nick. He can wind me up. I'll take it on the chin. No problem with that. Trod still is a voice region. So thank you for saying that. I appreciate that. Who else have we got on the chat? Make West Ham great again. If we don't get the summer right, we're going to go down next year. I did say that in the show that went out this morning. If we don't get the summer right, I have a concern. I really, really do have a concern. Good question. Who would I choose as captain? James Ward-Prowse. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. I don't know is the honest answer. It would have been Kilman, but I'm like I've said already. I don't think he's had a particularly fantastic season himself. It's a tough one, to be honest. Paqueta, maybe, or would that hurt him and his responsibility? It's an odd one because again, you would have probably given it to someone like Souček, but Souček is now not getting a lot of game time. That's a tough question. We've got a lot of captains, but for their national teams and their previous clubs that they play for, etc. But ironically, there's no one standout that you would put in as a captain of this West Ham side. Razor, good evening to you. Paqueta to City still when he's cleared by the corrupt FA. Best of luck to him too. Great player that's been in and out of form due to the FA. Sue the FA with club and the player. I certainly don't think he's going to Flamengo or any Brazilian club for just 20 mil. I think it will be. I think if he gets off with the FA hearing, I think Man City will probably come in and put in a bid for him. Obsidian, you can say that about any team, Mega. I don't know what he said, but I agree. Avid, good evening, mate. I hope you're well. Thoughts on the newest rumour that Southampton want Guilherme? What a load. Why? No. Of course, no. Why would we? It's taken us a whole season to get Guilherme in the team. Now he's showing glimpses of what he's capable of. He almost scored a winning goal on Saturday. No, that's not. We've got to stop this thing about believing all the absolute nonsense. 4 players from Southampton. The only one that I think we'll get is Walker-Peters. I did big up Fernandes, their central midfielder. I expected a little bit more from him on Saturday. Well, I'm glad he didn't give a bit more. Otherwise, they probably would have won. But no, I don't think we'll keep Guilherme, and I think we'll get Walker-Peters. That's probably the only player that we'll get. Trodge, 10 million, we get such poor value. 10 mil. Darren, West Ham great again. You're not wrong, mate. Any bloody nervous about next season? We will know how the season's going to go once we see the type of players that come into West Ham United. You're almost going to immediately know. Now, I've said it many, many times before. Do not expect big name players at West Ham next season, as in buying them in the transfer market. I'm certainly not expecting it. I'm expecting some kind of unknowns, 22, 23, 24-year-olds from various leagues, that when you look at their details, you'll go, yeah, up and coming, not bad players, etc. That I think are going to be hungry. They're the kind of players that we need at West Ham. We need hungry players. We don't want players who are going to come in first of all, we're not going to get players who are going to come in expecting European football because we don't have a European football to offer. Now, what I do expect are players that are on that periphery that go, I want to play in the Premier League. I want to demonstrate how good I am. And I want to get this club higher, because it's good for me as well as the club. They're the sort of players that we need. Where do I think we'll finish next season? I think we'll finish mid-table. I think we'll finish about 10th, 11th place if we get the transfer window right. NWO, the squad's okay. Potter has to take some blame. 14 games in, absolutely agree. I'm not so sure whether the squad's okay, though, if I'm really, really honest with you. Trod should get double the amount for him, surely. He's willing regarding in Europe and South America. For Paqueta, I think we should be looking at 35, 40 million pounds. If City come in, we want 40, 45 million pounds for him. And I know you're going to laugh at that, but I think that's the value that they should be paying for a player of that caliber. I really do. And on top of that, I would say to them, we're going to put in a sell-on clause as well. Mr. Will, sorry I didn't see you at the weekend, mate. I hope you're well. Evening Stout, let them go. They never brought anything to the table apart from grief and theatrics. Who are you talking about? Whoever they are, I agree with you. Make West Ham great again. The squad has thrown 3 managers under the bus in the last 18 months. You've got to ask yourself, and someone said, this squad is really good. They are. We've got really, really good footballers. But you've got to ask yourself, how is it that Moyes, Lopetegui and Potter can't get a tune out of some of these players? Is it just the coaches? Because let's be really honest, we've got 3 very different coaches there. Now, I know a lot of people are saying Moyes and Potter are very similar. You could argue maybe, especially what he did by bringing on the 5th defender on Saturday. That was very Moyes-esque. But Lopetegui, mad as a hatter. Very different manager, very different style. But no one could get no one's been able to get the best out of these fantastic players that we've got. I bet you £1 to a penny when they go to, I don't know, Arsenal, Liverpool, wherever, all of a sudden they're effing world beaters, aren't they? Just like they were last weekend against Liverpool. Paqueta ran the midfield. He bossed the midfield, man of the match. And Kudus, was busting an arm and a leg to get to the ball and trying to score. What happened to them this weekend? Oh, yeah, we were only playing Southampton. Gaza, Romano said Alvarez had a back injury. Whether that is right, I don't know. He trained. This is what's worrying me. When you look at how many games Alvarez has played since he came back from the CONCACAF Nations League that Mexico won, I think he started twice, or he's been involved in 2. No, he started twice and he's been on the bench most of the time. He wasn't used last week. He was training on Friday just before the game. So I don't know. Maybe that's what it is. I hope that's all it is. I hope there isn't a rift, because I find that really quite astonishing if there's a rift between him and Potter, because I don't get it. Because he seemed to be. Now, actually, you know what? Here's a mad one for you. I was asked who would I make captain. If Alvarez is back, I'll give him the captain's armband. Why? Because he does get his foot in there. Yeah, he picks up yellow cards and all that. We know that. But at least he shows a bit of passion. So if it's an injury, all fair and well. I hope he's back, and I hope he starts in the game against Brighton at the weekend, because, to be honest, we really miss a player like that. Yes, he can pick up a yellow card, but he's going to put his best effort in. Who else have we got? Dean. Breaking news, Fabrizio from Bola has just announced my dog Diggy is preparing a transfer from the sofa to his bed with a transfer fee of a raw beef bone. Good luck with that one, mate. I bet it's fake news, though. I bet it's fake news, Dean. Mark, it says it all when Potter thinks JWP should start ahead of Alvarez. Well, here's the... now we're hearing, because I didn't hear that until just now, that Alvarez may have had an injury. Let's see. I hope all is well in Aruba, mate. I hope you're having... He's pissed off to... Mind you haven't missed much, have you, Mark? To be really honest with you. Christine, good evening to you. Thank you for joining. I hope you're well. Who else have we got? Make West Ham great. We need to sign hungry players, not fat cats only here for the money. Absolutely, 100% agree. Obsidian, depends on attitude, Mark. If Alvarez don't want to be here, well, I'm speculating. Of course, all the news you get on social media is more speculation than reality. Now, I'm just asking the question, what on earth is going on? And then you hear this thing about, he wants to leave, etc., etc. So I'm like anyone else. I put 2 and 2 together and wondered, well, there's something wrong. Now, if it is really a back injury that's kept him out, all fair and well. When he gets over that back injury, I'm expecting him to start at the weekend. Trudge, I'm outgunned in Clout & Boo's channel, but respect. They've not banned me yet. I don't know what you've done, but I hope you're okay. Green Street Elites. I have a feeling that captaincy is Bowen's long term. However, if not, Potter will select Ward-Prowse, I reckon. I genuinely don't think Potter is picking Ward-Prowse. I might be wrong. Maybe he is deliberately picking Ward-Prowse over Alvarez. I'm going to have to find out whether Alvarez really is carrying an injury or not, because, as I said, he definitely trained on the Friday before the game. Bolin, I stay pretty quiet in there, mostly, Charge. I think it can be a bit of an echo chamber at times. Who else? Good news roundup. Thank you very much. Si, how are you, mate? I hope you're well. I suppose we've got to give him a chance. this is what I'm like, because I get the negativity. I get why people are upset as to what's going on. I totally understand that because it's not been great. But one thing I said, and it was you, Ed, wasn't it, that questioned me about it? One thing I said about reading about Potter's approach is he builds projects. It takes time. He's not an impact manager like you might get with others. He won't come in and do an overnight change around. Because he will build it'll be the first steps in the summer. And I do think he'll be given a chance. I don't think he's going to get sacked at the end of this season. Be the first steps at the end of this in this summer transfer window for him to start building the project that's going to be West Ham United. Carl McCauley by his side. I'm fingers crossed. I hope they get it right. They've got to get it right, because I actually agree with what some of you have said. If we don't get it right in this summer transfer window, we're in trouble next season. I do agree with that rhetoric. Hammers Football, hit the like button. Thank you very much. If you haven't yet hit the like button, please do so. And please consider becoming a subscriber of the channel. Darren, we need a director of football. That ship sailed, mate. We need a director of football with Sullivan in charge. We're going to be effed and relegation scrap next season. Also, rumours that Potter wants to keep Soler. Well, rumours. Now, I don't understand why Soler is starting. I mean, Souček. Every time Souček doesn't play, we seem to suffer. Notice that? And it's not just under Potter that's happened. It happened under Lopetegui, happened under Moyes. It's an irony. It's a massive irony. I don't think we will keep Soler. I like Soler, but I don't think he's enough of what we need. He doesn't make those. He's like an attacking midfielder. He tries to be a box-to-box, but I don't think he's that effective. I think he might be better in the French league. I think maybe he'll probably go to the Spanish league or something like that, where he'll be far, far more effective. Daz, good evening to you. Hi all. I don't have faith in Potter, and I can understand why. It's me, Sam. Good evening to you. My biggest fear is seeing Ward-Prowse being the first name on the team sheet next season. Salama, good evening to you. I hope you're well. I'd like Max Bird from Bristol. I don't know, Salama, to be honest with you. I'll have to look into what Max Bird is like. I've got no clue. So all I know is George Earthy is playing for Bristol. Stan, good evening, mate. I hope you're well. The pain of it is painful. It is, but you come away and you just end up going. That's typical, because when I did the preview for West Ham versus Southampton, I kind of said, I'm excited, but I can't remember the exact words I used, but something like, I'm excited, but I'm apprehensive. Excited to the point that we should be beating this team pretty easily. Apprehensive because it's a team that's been relegated. They're playing for pride. And look what they did. They played for pride. They played for the shirt. And they got their just rewards. They should have actually won that game at the weekend. David Moyes' twisted bollock. Good evening to you. As much as I have faith in Potter, he can't keep picking favourites like Souček, Soufal, Ward-Prowse. Well, he's dropped Souček. Soufal only came in because Wan-Bissaka was injured. Over young talents, it's time to get these deadwood players, put the team and bleed some youth into the team. I agree with that, to be honest with you. I agree with that rhetoric. Trudge, I hope McCauley signs some players that want to be here. Absolutely. I'm writing a script at the moment. I don't know when I'm going to get the show out. Maybe Wednesday, but I'm writing quite a detailed script about Carl McCauley and our pending transfer window. So look out for that show when it comes out. Michael, it could be worse. We could be spuds with Ange in charge. Now, do you remember some West Ham fans? Postecoglou, get him in. Oh, there's a manager at Man United. I can't remember his name. Oh, that's right. Amorim. Get him in as well. Well, I mean, they're no better than we are, both those teams. And what was it we heard? Oh, don't worry. Postecoglou will get it right. Oh, because he suffered from injuries. What about our injuries? We've had quite a lot of injuries that have been quite disruptive. And then Amorim. Oh, absolutely. We can't believe we're not getting Amorim in. I mean, why not? Why don't you pay the 10 million release clause to get him in? Fucking hell. I mean, really? I mean, what's going on at Man United? But then we hear, don't worry, it's not his team. They'll be all right next season because he'll go into the transfer window and buy all the players right for him. Well, why can't that be for Potter as well? Why is it all right that, Amorim's failing because it's not his team, but Potter's failing because it's You can't have it both ways. So let's see what both those managers do. I actually do think Amarim's going to do well next season. I really do. But what's to say that Potter won't do well as well? Let's see. Who else have we got? Let's scroll down. Michael, Potter's points per game, 0.93. Only Avram Grant is worse at 0.89. That isn't good. Trudge. We need 3 or 4 with Fullkrug's attitude in defence and midfield. I agree. We need a few bruisers. We absolutely do in the team. Darren, Trudge, that's a stat where we've lost more games without Souček in the squad, says it all. Isn't it the irony? Every time Souček doesn't play. Frog, Scarl starting against Liverpool but not Southampton makes no sense whatsoever to me. I agree with that. As well. How far behind? Oh, pretty far. So I'm going to have to catch up and miss a few as well, I'm afraid. Paul, another manager out of his depth. We've got worse at the moment. I know it's easy to say, let's see what happens, but he will get the transfer window and then let's see what happens from there. Lawson, good evening, mate. Come on, people. How much does he need? Look where Wolves are. They won 5 in a row. Potter is not the answer, but there's my point, Lawson. I've said it. Amarim. He hasn't done well at Man United. I can't remember his name who took over for Southampton. He didn't improve them. Van Nistelrooy didn't improve Leicester. There are some managers who have taken over a club this season who have done as badly, if not worse. And unfortunately, with Potter, he's on that side of having done worse. But there are managers, Moyes, Everton, the guy at Wolves, etc., who have improved. Yeah, Debenham Dave. Been to all the recent home games, it's not been great, but too early to discuss sacking Potter. It's not been great. The atmosphere has not been great. The games have not been great. There's a nervousness about the team in front of the home. We play better away. The irony, I mentioned some of the games that under Potter were good. Chelsea away, Arsenal away, Villa twice away, Liverpool away. We played really well in those games, all away from home. What is going on at our home ground? And I know people are saying, about the stadium. It's not a stadium for football. I get all that as well and understand all that. But there's the dichotomy. If you've got something to cheer about, you will. The players are nervous in front of their own fans. Gaza, Forest came 17th last season. Look at them now. Exactly. Champions League for us next season. Make West Ham great. Does Avram Grant have a better record than Potter? Not yet. But he might do at the end of this season. Ings off to Burnley. Good luck to him, Si. You know what will happen? He'll score a hatful of bloody goals. Nikos, hello, mate. I hope you're well. Thank you for joining. Obsidian. In fairness, Green Street, if Sully had hired Nunes, we would have rioted. No one saw his success coming. There you go. Another one. It's me, Sam. Hi, Stel. Do you think our slow-paced tactics are instructions from the manager, or do you think it's down to not having the right players to play fast football? I think it's down to the players. We do not have pace in our midfield. We've been saying this all season. We've been saying it for quite some time. It's something that we thought and hoped that was going to be fixed in the summer transfer window when Lopetegui was there. And then Soler came in and we thought, oh, maybe he's the one. Even he hasn't helped to fix that. It's the players. We don't have the players in the team to give us that pace. David, at the end of the day, Potter needs a summer window to something his method and cement his tactics. Potter needs his players that fit his criteria. I agree with that. Trudge, everyone gives ball to the Paqueta rather than make a forward pass themselves. This is the thing. We're looking at Paqueta. Now, Paqueta controlled that game, like I said, against Liverpool last weekend. But that wasn't happening this week. Players were not running off. Kudus, it's not bad. And he doesn't enjoy playing on the left, and we know that. And every manager since Moyes has done the same mistake. Put him out on the left. Do something. Play him in the middle. Put him in the middle. If you need someone on the left, seeing as Somerville's not playing, then start with Guilherme and drop Ward-Prowse or someone else, Soler. Put Kudus in them. I want to see just one game with Kudus playing as a number 10, just behind the striker. I think you're going to see a very, very different footballer if you do. Obsidian, Allegri is Italian. We moan the football is defensive. Now, exactly. Allegri, even slower. That's the way they play their football. They admire defensive football over in Italy. Darren, Celis, I think Potter has been out of management for too long. He doesn't seem to know how to sort this lot out. I don't know. Let's see. James, good evening, mate. I hope you're well. Good evening to you, Neil. I'm worried about next season. You going to carry on, but good channel, good channel to watch. Thank you very much, Kevin. I really appreciate that. Hammers TV. You know the saying, bull in the china shop style has got to go one further with cat in his room. Well, if the Clats were here, you know, as Juha would say, we'd win games. Stephen, do you think João Palhinha replaces Thomas Soucek? No, I don't. I've said it already. If you've joined later, no, I absolutely don't. I don't think we're in at all for João Palhinha. That's agent talk more than anything else. Trudge, I'm suspicious why they will sell us João Palhinha. He has got no tendons in his knee or something. Has he got no tendons in the knee? Look, it's agent talk. You know, it's not gone well in Germany. We wanted him when Moyes was here. We didn't get him. He went off to Germany. It's not gone well. His agent needs to sell him to someone. Oh, I tell you what, West Ham United, they'll do. Neil, why are people pinning their hopes on the transfer window? Who's to say that any players Potter wants will come to a club that's struggling so badly? That's a really good point. But as someone just alluded to, look at Nottingham Forest, where they finished last season and what they've done. We need players that are not, and I know this is going to sound a bit weird, but we need players that are not expecting to finish in a European place next season, but are striving to try and achieve a finish in Europe next season. So then that means we're not going to go out and get the next Kudus. We're not going to go out and get the next Paqueta, but we're going to go out and get the player that wants to demonstrate that they're good enough in the Premier League and that they're striving to get us up higher in the league. That's the sort of player that we need. Someone that's a bit hungry, someone that's not expecting to walk into a team that's going to be this has been the thing with Kudus, Paqueta, etc. We got them when we were in Europe. We got them and so they expected us to stay in Europe all the time. All of a sudden, we're struggling. They don't seem to have the fight to get us higher up. Whilst we're playing European teams and European competitions and playing the bigger teams, Liverpool's, Arsenal's, etc., they're there. They're all these big name Charlies are there. The minute we have to sort of struggle a bit and get ourselves out of a rut and play in the likes of Southampton and Wolves and teams like that, they go missing. That's why we need a rebalance of this squad next season. We need a completely different squad that isn't thinking, yeah, Europe, that's what I'm about. Well, no, Europe, that's not what you're about, because if we don't get it right, as people have said, we won't be looking at Europe. We'll be looking at relegation next season. James, I'm 100% behind what Fullkrug said about player attitudes. There you go. It kind of ties in with what I just said. James, good evening, mate. Thank you for joining. Another James, good evening to you. I've zoned out with West Ham, but thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Debenham Dave, let's make sure we, the fans, are the 12th man against the Spuds. Time to make some noise like the Seville game. Good grief. If we can't get ourselves up for playing against Spurs at home, I'd be really, really worried. Trudge, Casado cost them $5 million at the time. That's the sort of players I'm thinking that we're going to be looking at getting at West Ham. We're looking at getting players on small money, players that have got something about them who can prove themselves. And yes, we may end up selling them for a vast profit, but that's the thinking I've got. You're going to get players in who are hungry, young, hungry, who want to demonstrate how good they can be, become good players in the Premier League, and we either build around them or we sell them and then get more players in order to keep building a decent squad. 2 up, 2 down. Good evening. I can't understand how could players attack without the forward attacking. I can't understand how could players attack without the forward attacking player. Well, we took one off, didn't we, Fullkrug, when he was just getting into the game, and then Ferguson doesn't inspire me. It's me, Sam. Wolves fans always said Kilman can only ever play in a back three. That's what it looks like. And that's what I think Potter is going to build next season. James, still haven't been able to put my finger on why we played with a great attitude and mindset against Villa in the Cup. And after that, we went backwards. I don't think we went backwards straight after there. I've been several games that I think we've done well. But on the whole, it's not been great. Steve, we need more attacking players and a manager who knows how to win matches. Marco Silva. I'm not even talking about other managers at this moment in time, because I genuinely think, Steve, that we will have Potter starting next season. Let's see after the transfer window, and let's see after about a dozen games where we're at. Trudge, I would prefer we sign cheaper targets, and whenever we break our transfer record, it goes wrong. I 100% agree with you. 100% agree. Clive, why are we still being linked with Ramsdale? Well, only the newspapers, only the social media columns tell you that we are linked with Ramsdale. Do you genuinely believe that? You know, he's no better than Areola. If we want to improve our goalkeeping situation, then we don't get someone who's going to be on a level or worse. And we don't. Neil, usual, think the mercenary approach only works with those past their best. Way too much money involved there. When we pay big money for players who don't give a damn about the shirts. Ian, didn't Wolves fans tell us about Kilman's defensive preferences and abilities? I think you're right about the defense too. Yeah, Nigel. Fullkrug said what others fear to say. I think our biggest problem is some fans who scream manager out prematurely, create a toxic atmosphere. Each to their own, I guess. You know, Bolane. To be honest, everyone has seen whatever they want from Fullkrug, from supporting to attacking Potter, angling from a move, wanting a state is just spun to fit their viewpoint. Yeah, that's a fair point. You can view it in a number of different ways. I totally agree. Mike West Ham, great. Gemini reckons Potter is on course. Gemini reckons Potter is on course to beat Avram Grant's record. If we beat Spurs, all is forgiven. Isn't it? Come on. You know it is. James, was Bowen the right person from the start to be given the captain's armband? That surely has to be a big factor how we are on the pitch too. It's possible. Yeah. I kind of don't disagree with that. I did initially, but now I'm thinking, yeah, good point. Lawson, come still. Back three when we attack. That means Kill is not defending when he does it. It's a 5 at the back, makes his job easier. 3 at the back. Let me read that again. Come on, Stel. Back 3 when we attack. Yes. That means Kilman is not defending. When he does, it's a back 5 at the back, makes his job easy. Yeah. When you're defending, you do drop to it. Of course you would, wouldn't you? But when we're attacking, I guess what I'm saying is, for me, I don't mind a back 3. I don't mind having a back 3 in every game, home and away. I don't mind that. So long as, but you know, you pointed this out, so long as when we're attacking, we utilize those wing backs to get them as far forward as possible to make a difference in attack. But if they drop back, then that's no good. Then we've got no attack. Finn, the alarm bells should be ringing when you have no competition for free agent managers and players. Darren, well, I bet you will get 1 or 2 free agents, free agents, players in the summer. Darren, James Bond, yeah, and also saying why bring him on when we are going to lose him on the pitch. I didn't understand that, so my apologies what that was in reference to. Let me scroll down. Martin, I did predict the result against Southampton, but I don't know how we can't beat the worst team in the league. Well, just watch the game again and you'll know. Nathan, good evening to you. Who do you think played well, mate? Who do I think played well at the weekend? In all honesty, no one. If you'd asked me about Liverpool, I would have said Paqueta, Bowen, Kudus, the back line, etc. But I'm looking at that team. Who played well at the weekend? I genuinely can't tell you. I'll tell you who played well. When Guilherme came on, the young lad almost scored a goal at the end of the game. At least he put a bit of effort in. Ian, it has been several times in the past. If players don't want to play for West Ham, then they can go. I can't condone players not giving their all. The money they get compared to most working folk is crazy. Yeah, I totally agree. Sai, as soon as Mavropanos comes on, I know we are doing. But the poor bloke, you know, he was come on to do a job. You can't blame him for them scoring a goal, but you just knew, didn't you? You just knew Mavropanos is coming on. We're going to, not because Mavropanos was coming on, because we were going 5 at the back. James, Gio made an excellent point today about Kilman giving the armband and not Souček, which seems to suggest Souček is out the door. Very, very possible indeed. Very possible. Finn, West Ham paying a fortune to get Ferguson fit for Brighton. More shrewd business by the dwarf in his cohorts. We're not getting him fit, though. They're upset. They want him to play more. I've not seen anything from Ferguson to suggest he should even be on the pitch at any time. And I know people are going to say, well, we haven't given him a chance. But the chances he's had, he just looks like he can't be bothered. Full-time, Spurs 1, Forest 2. Congratulations, Forest. True culture. Good evening to you. Do you think the coach should stay or not, and why? I think he should stay. I think we need to give him the window. I know everyone is saying otherwise, or a lot of people are saying otherwise. You know, we're not going to go and get ourselves a fourth manager in a year. There's no way that's going to happen. No way that's going to happen. And then, as many people are saying, well, then do you trust the board to go and get the right manager? That I don't know either. But I don't think we're going to be sacking Graham Potter anytime soon. The reason why, I do want to see what he does with the squad. I do want to see what sort of players he attracts to West Ham United. And I'll be very, very interested to see the sort of players that he's going to move on. I think he wants to stamp his mark on this team and see what happens there. Now, if after a dozen games in the new season, it's going badly again, then I would say, all right, fair enough. That experiment hasn't worked. Time to move him on. Don't keep him too long. If it hasn't worked in the first dozen games, let's go and get ourselves another manager. Excuse me. Nathan, Areola would be a good captain. I don't know. A lot of people don't have a lot of time for Areola. I respect him for what he's done at West Ham. He doesn't command his box very well, Areola. Great shot stopper. Interesting call, though. Interesting call. Harry, evening still. Good evening to you, mate. I hope you're well. Great. Thank you very much. Ferguson, what a strange turnout that is. I think Potter made it very clear, didn't he? When Ferguson came in, he kind of more or less said, I'm bringing him in as backup, as cover, in case I get any more injuries. So I don't think he really had the intention of playing him much anyway. And maybe Ferguson knows that, which is probably why he's not been getting as much game time. Gennaro, good evening, mate. I hope you're well. Saturday was a must-win for Potter, in my opinion. The tactics and the substitutions against the worst team in the league cooked his goose for me. It was wrong. Yeah, he got it wrong. There's absolutely. I'm not defending him. Absolutely, he got it completely wrong on Saturday, without a doubt. Bill, good evening, mate. I hope you're well. Does anyone know why Ferguson left the bench just before the first wave of substitutions happened? No idea. Maybe he went to have a pee or something like that. Who knows? Neil. Usual. Bell Bottom George. What a film title. I don't know what you're talking about, but you carry on. Bolin, Spurs are crap and we are crapper. Absolutely. What manager, John, would I bring in? At this moment in time, I'm not even thinking about managers, mate. I'm really not. Let's stick with Potter. I know it may go wrong. It may well go wrong, but it may go right as well. Let's stick with him. Let's see what happens once he's had a transfer window and once he's had a dozen games behind him. Then see where we are. Then let's see where we are. And I know people are saying, and rightly so, people are saying, well, if you can't do it with the squad that we've got, blah, 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 what makes you think he's going to be any better next season? But, I think maybe, tweaking that squad or changing a few players in certain positions could completely transform that team. Alvarez Lawson should have been made captain. It's an interesting one. Yeah, when I think about it, Alvarez, don't think that would be too bad. Daniela, City are not looking at Paqueta now that ship has sailed a long time ago. Let's see what happens. Let's see. I think Guardiola still has a liking for Paqueta, but let's see. Obsidian, will Levy have bigger nuts than Sullivan and still sack Ange even if he wins a cup? Interesting. That'd be interesting to see. But don't wish them to win a cup just so you find out the answer to that, mate. Josh, good evening to you, mate. Sorry, no problem. It's all going well, and I hope you're well too. Reckon we could do Spurs? Well, if we can't, then yes, I do. Yes, I do. They cannot score for love nor money, but neither can we. Sound familiar? There you go. I think we should be up for it, shouldn't we? At home against Spurs. If we're not up for that, what are we up for? Nathan, Stellis, where do you think we will end up next season? I do think that it won't be an inspiring season. I don't think we'll get into Europe. If it goes well, if it goes right, I do think we'll finish about 11th, 12th in the league. People are going to hate that, but that's where I think we'll probably end up. Do I think we're going to be in a relegation battle? If we get the transfer window wrong, then yes, we would. If we get it right, I don't think it'll be enough to get us into the top half, but finishing about 11th, 12th, something like that is where I'm expecting us to be. Trodge, Paqueta is like a dog who still craps on the carpet, now too old to house train. You can't change what he does, can you? Darren, Potter's twats on Sky Sports saying Potter should play, Bowen should play for the Spuds. This is it. There's been a lot of talk about Bowen should be leaving for a bigger club. Fuck right off. It just annoys the hell out of me. We've had this at West Ham for years. Every time, every big player that we've got should be playing for a bigger club. Get lost. It's just crap. It's just to wind us all up. It's wound me up. Josh, we need players that aren't coming in already believing they deserve to be somewhere better. Spot on. And that's what I was trying to explain earlier on. You know, that's like Kudus. I like Kudus. I actually hope he stays, but I'm not going to be surprised if he goes. But he expects to be at a bigger club. Paqueta expects to be at a bigger club. Quite a few players kind of seem to expect that at West Ham United. You know, and you're a spot on. You know, they deserve. If we bring players in, we bring them in because they want to play for the shirt. They want to demonstrate how good they can be for West Ham United, not how good they can be for a future transfer to Arsenal or Liverpool or another club like that. Totally agree. Anthony, Walker-Peters and the Ipswich striker would be our main targets. Walker-Peters, I think we'll get. Delap, I think there'll be a massive queue going around the block. For Delap, will we get him? Well, he'll get game time. There's no denying that. And apparently, if the rumours are true, that he'll be looking at a club that will give him game time. There's no denying he'll get game time. I love him to come to West Ham. Michael, next season, we might retain Bowen and get a lot of championship standard players. If we get a lot of championship standard players, we'll go down to the championship. Finn, Potter's interviews are as dull as his football. Gennaro, it's not all Potter's fault, but I can understand the Flair players not being motivated to play this boring style of football. The Flair players came in to play European football in the bigger teams in the Premier League. The Flair players did not come in to be playing Southampton in a relegation dogfight. You don't need those players then, do you? You know, because if they can't psych themselves up for every single game and only the ones that they pick and choose, then forget about it. Don't need them. Get someone else in who wants to play every single game as if it's his last game for the club. Darren, some of the squad know they won't be here next season, are playing, not playing accordingly. I agree. Bolin, I expect one big signing along with a couple of others, maybe a couple of frees and loans for summer. No inside knowledge, just what I'm expecting. I'm not expecting any big signings. It depends on what you consider to be a big signing. If we get Delap for 40 mil, I don't know, what's his release clause? 30 mil. If we get Delap for 30 mil, that to me is going to be our big signing for the summer. Hammers TV. Hammers Football. Delap 30 million release clause. Clubs will be queuing to get his signature. Absolutely correct. John Boy, would you consider the Ipswich manager? No. Why? Because he's about to take them down. So no, no, I wouldn't. No. Joey, we paid 50 mil for Paqueta when he was unproven in the Premier League. Why should we take a loss now if he's proven he can perform here? Really good point. Totally agree. Finn, Paqueta is to go down as a flop at West Ham for the ability he's compared to what he's delivered and what he's cost. But that goal was worth its weight in gold, wasn't it? That pass was worth its weight in gold in the Europa Conference League final, wasn't it? Anthony, Sullivan should hire a shrink to get into the players' heads. Well, Potter, he does all this stuff, doesn't he, about, psychology, etc. Darren, reason why players don't like Lopetegui is because he wouldn't stand them being lazy shits, and that's why they were throwing their toys out of the pram. Maybe they've gone back to being lazy again. Mark, these players have thrown these managers under the bus. Managers get the brunt of everything. Players get away scot-free. If Fullkrug didn't do the interview the other day, it would be different. That's a really good point. And much of what one or two other people have been saying as well. Sometimes you've got to look at the players and go, how come three managers couldn't get anything out of certain players? What's going on here? Trodge, no chance then. Also means lump sum payment up front. I know that's in relation to something, but I don't know what. Sullivan wants to spread deals over 10 years. Well, that is true. Yeah. Lawson, Potter cannot handle big players. That's why he didn't last at Chelsea. Come on. It was a madness at Chelsea at the time that he was there. I don't think anyone could have handled it. It was chaotic. It was chaotic. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt there. It was absolutely chaotic there. Trodge, sadly, many turned against Potter versus Southampton. People aren't patient anymore. Well, I've been saying that all season. But that was a turning point for a lot of fans. And, what he did, he walked right into the trap, didn't he? By going defensive. The boos were really loud. They absolutely were. Ashley, if clubs come knocking for Bowen, what would be his value? 80 mil. And not a penny less. And some people are saying 120 mil if they really want him. Breaking news, Stella's become captain of all West Ham podcasts Here we go, Brian. Ian, I said it elsewhere, but I'll say it again. We can't throw managers under the bus. 3 coaches, no improvement. You have to start looking elsewhere for the problems rather than the manager. A lot of people are saying a lot of similar things there, and I'm inclined to agree with that feeling. Josh, I think Bowen has been picked as PR political reason. Given what he means to us, and for fan morale, keeping him sweet, it won't be rescinded. Yeah, so he's trying to. It's that balance between the fans and the club. I get that. Usual. Supporting West Ham this season is like a loveless marriage. No matter how hard you try with them, they constantly break your heart. How far behind am I now? Good. You know what? I'm going to take a quick break because I'm going to go into the next part of the show. And ironically, we kind of more or less talked about it. Right. The starting lineup at the weekend. Well, I think there was a little bit of a surprise for me. Look, there were 3 changes to the 11 that faced Liverpool the weekend before last. 1 was enforced, and 2, I guess you'd argue, were kind of tactical changes. Now, despite needing an injection on a toe injury, Aaron Wan-Bissaka was not fit to be selected, and it was Vladimir Coufal who replaced him. So that was the enforced change. And surprisingly for me, Ollie Scholes dropped to the bench with Emerson coming in to replace him. Now, I found that decision a little bit disappointing, but understandable given Emerson's he's got more experience in a back 4. But Scholes was in the team against much tougher opposition the weekend before last against Mo Salah. And I thought that perhaps he'd be retained in Saturday's lineup given the effort that the young lad put in. And the other tactical switch was Potter going to a back 4, dropping Mavropanos in favour of Niclas Fullkrug starting up front, who made his first start for West Ham since the 4th of January this year. Now, excuse me. See, I shouldn't drink Coca-Cola because then I'll start burping. James Ward-Prowse, Carlos Soler were again preferred to Edson Alvarez and Thomas Soucek in midfield. And I imply I can't work that out, you know, whether Potter is using Ward-Prowse to continue monitoring whether he thinks that player should be part of his setup next season, or whether there's something wrong with Alvarez and Soucek, or maybe fallen out of favour with the head coach. Now, someone said earlier on that Alvarez apparently had a back injury, so let's see if that's true. In Alvarez's case, something must be amiss. If he's not injured, something must be amiss. You know, because he didn't even make the bench with Andy Irving and Guido Rodriguez being named ahead of him. So I hope it is just a back injury and no more than that. Now, West Ham United. We've said this. We've been saying this throughout the show. Sluggish, slow, unable to get a momentum going. And one wonders, you know, who the team was that was relegated on Saturday. Because it looked as if we were as relegated as Southampton were. Look, Southampton are not a good team by any stretch of the imagination. Yet they had the best chances in the first half, which included hitting the bar. And we came out in the second half. And, you know, what we should have been doing from the very start. We started off brightly in the second half, led to a typical Jarrod Bowen goal, which most fans missed because some of us were still on the concourse chatting away. Because we didn't think anything was going to bloody well happen. I missed the goal. You know, I came on and I saw it on the screen. So very well taken goal, but that's just typical, isn't it? That, you know, the only goal we score, and a lot of fans missed it because they were still chatting away on the concourse. But that was the highlight of our day, because no sooner did we score, we went into our shells. It was Southampton who then had all the momentum and had something like, 15 shots? I think the stats said. We defended deeper and deeper, and they absolutely deserved to get the equaliser. And to be honest with you, it was a really well-taken goal. Really good volley. And that leveled it. And that's when things got even worse, because instead of like trying to push and trying to get back into that and try and win the game, you know, the changes that Potter made, and we've already discussed this, especially the substitutions, by putting 5 at the back, you know, in order to maintain a 1-0 lead, was just atrocious. It was poor from Potter. You can't deny that. So when Fullkrug had his outburst, people asked me earlier on, who do I think he was aiming his outburst at? Well, maybe you've got to look at one player being Areola, because what Areola was doing was, in the first half, we were getting the ball. He was trying to pass a short pass to his defenders, passing it out slowly, building up, etc. And then all of a sudden, he was just booting the ball up. Was he told to do that? Get it away from as far away from the goal as possible? Or was that just a nervousness about what he had in front of him? I don't know. I don't know what's going on in the mindset or what the players are told to do. But that was one thing that I think when Fullkrug had his outburst, I think that was one of the things that he was upset about. We're booting the ball up. No one was there. We kept losing the ball, kept giving the ball straight back to Southampton. Potter's substitutions left a lot to be desired. He brought Fullkrug, Bowen, Kudus and Paqueta off, and we reverted to the back five. But he did try to change it again, because then he brought Guilherme and Ferguson on. I don't think Ferguson had a touch, but Guilherme almost got in and scored a goal. So good, I'm pleased for him for having put the effort in. But it was odd. It was an odd game. It was an odd performance. It just felt all really, really weird. And we kind of, Potter gave them the game. There's no denying that a lot of our players didn't put their best effort in, but at the same time, Potter's tactics didn't help either. So we're in that crossroads, and we're lucky that we actually didn't lose the game. So where from here? Will Fullkrug be punished, for example, for his outburst? Will he be dropped from the team? If so, it means that Potter is burying his head in the sand and not recognizing the problems that we have. But I think maybe Potter will keep him in the team. I think maybe because of what I said earlier, it didn't feel like Fullkrug was targeting Potter with his outburst. He was targeting the players on the pitch. So I think Fullkrug will keep his place. How he's going to get on with his fellow players, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. Love to be a fly on the wall when they're doing training this coming week. Some fans are now saying that Potter is very much like Moyes in his approach. Not dynamic, too defensive-minded, and that it shows the way we've approached many of the games under his leadership. But we find ourselves again in a situation where we have a manager, a head coach with different styles, different philosophies to the previous manager, having to instill his style with the players that are not his. I've heard it, and I accept what people's arguments are. You've only got to look at Wolves. You've only got to look at Everton. You've only got to look at these teams that have changed their managers and they've progressed. My counter argument to that is, you've only got to look at Southampton. You've only got to look at Leicester City. You've only got to look, and other teams like that, Man United, where they've changed their managers mid-season and they haven't progressed. They've been as stagnant as we have been. So there's an argument both sides there. Yes, absolutely. Sometimes it's going to work. For Wolves, congratulations to them. They've got a manager that's managed to get those players to play really well. Everton, ironically, David Moyes has got players to play really well. But there is as many, if not more, teams who have had new managers this season where there's been no change. Man United, we're another team. Wolves are another team. And Southampton, another team. So for every team that's got a new manager and has played well, you can argue there's a team that's got a new manager and has not played well. And the other thing about Potter is he builds squads over time, and we all keep asking, where's the manager bounce? Where's the new manager bounce? Potter maybe is the sort of person that methodically he will make a change in the summer transfer window. He'll bring in the style of players that play his style of football. And then we may see a difference next season. We've got to give him time. And I know people don't like that. And I know Trod just said it, and I've been saying it for quite a long time. We don't have patience anymore. We don't have the patience to allow someone to build. Someone said quite rightly, look at Nottingham Forest last season, finished 17th in the league. Look where they are now, 3rd in the league. I'm not saying that we can jump to that. I'd love it if we could, but there's a chance, isn't there? There's a chance. And I think we owe it to ourselves just to be patient, just to see what happens. Am I happy with what's happening under Potter? Of course not. I go to games home and away, and my mates are even saying, "Oh, I can't bother to go this one now, and I'm not sure if I'm going to go to this one, etc., because of all the effort and all the hassle and all the cost, etc." And if you don't think that the team are going to perform, it makes it doubly hard. Went to Liverpool last weekend. And all right, we walked away with a defeat, but I was elated with the way we played in the second half. And I said to myself, that's what brings me back. And then I go to Southampton, against Southampton, and I get why that keeps fans away. And I just want to see us just be patient just for a little while. It may not work out. It may not work out. Potter may end up screwing up the summer transfer window, and then he may end up screwing up the first half of next season. If that's the case, then I fully expect the board to go, thank you very much, mate. It's not worked out. On your bike. Getting him sacked now, I don't know. I'm sorry, people, but I can't buy into that. I can't buy into that. We're not that sort of club, are we? Because think about it carefully. Every time you change manager, you bring another manager in with a different philosophy, a different style, and oh, hang on a minute. I've got last manager's players I've now got to try and get to play my way of thinking. Do you see the problem? We've had this since Bilic. Moyes took over, different style, using the players that Bilic had. And then, what's his name? Pellegrini came in, different style to David Moyes, gets in different players. Sack Pellegrini, Moyes comes back, different style to Pellegrini's. Get rid of all these players, use these players, bring in different players. A complete squad rebuild every bloody summer. Moyes has gone. Bring in Lopetegui, different style, different players. Go and spend even more money on players. Sack him halfway through. Another manager comes in, different style, different philosophy. There's been no consistency. When you look at clubs, and we look with envy at clubs like Brentford and clubs like I don't know. Who's the other team? Well, look at Fulham. You look at Brentford. You look at Brighton and clubs like that. And you go, well, how can they do it and we can't? Because they've got a plan of action. This all goes back to the board. This all goes back to the board and the way that they've managed West Ham United in the time that they've been here. They've not got a long-term vision of West Ham United. Tony Bloom at Brighton's got a long-term vision. Why is it that they've been regularly, they've been consistent? They've not been spectacular, but they've been consistent. Brentford, consistent, because they've got a plan of action. They know what philosophy they've got. They know what style of football they want to play. They know the kind of players that they want to bring in to fit that style. And they know what sort of manager they want to bring in order to manage those players that fits that style. Bournemouth is the same. Fulham, Bournemouth, Brentford, Brighton. You look at those teams, you look at them not because they've won anything. I'm not talking about looking at them with envy because they've won things. We've won a trophy in the last 3 years, but it's about the way that club is managed. Now, to go and sack Potter is only going to stir up all that shit again. The same stuff again. We'll start in again. A new manager, let's say for argument's sake, Potter is sacked at the end of this season. A new manager comes in. Okay, one could argue he's got the opportunity to get his own players in the transfer window. There is that, but it's going to mean a complete squad rebuild yet again. Rather than looking at the current squad, at least Potter has had an opportunity now to look at the squad and gone, I'll keep him, I'll keep those dozen players. That's what I'm going to use as my core, and I'm going to add to that. A new manager come in could go, oh no, forget all those. We'll start all over again. Different philosophy, different style. What happens? Doesn't work. Oh, here we go again. Sack him, get another man. Do you see the perpetual cycle that we've been in over the last, 8-9 years since Bilic onwards? We keep getting different types of managers in who have different philosophies, different styles of playing football, different ideas on the sort of players that we want. Do you know what? I keep saying it. I said it a few times before. Do you know what went wrong under Moyes? Not so much his boring football, etc. It's when David Moyes all of a sudden had an epiphany thinking, I need to go and buy myself 30, 40, 50 million pound footballers. Why, David Moyes? And he was like, oh yeah, we're in Europe now and we're with the big boys, with different kind of... Mate, that's not your forte. That's not your fault. Why do that? If you'd carried on getting the Thomas Souceks and the Jared Bowens of this world, you would have built stronger, and we would have still been successful. But he went out and bought 40 million, 50 million pound players that he then had to sell at half the money because he didn't know what to do with them. And we've had that under him. We've had that under Lopetegui. He's gone out, he's spent big, and all that. And he's bought players in. It's a mishmash. And how many people have been involved in the transfer window last summer? Sullivan getting his oar in. Steiden getting involved. Lopetegui getting involved. Lopetegui wanted Kilman. Sullivan brought in Somerville. Steiden wanted this player and that player. And it's like, what a mishmash. It's a mishmash. No wonder no one can get a song and dance out of this squad, because it's not made up from a philosophy. The club don't have a philosophy. They don't have a structure. So if we had a structure, we'd be a lot better off for it. So in a way, I'm really hoping, and I might be totally wrong, but I'm really hoping that's what Potter and Carl McCauley are going to bring to West Ham United this coming summer. That they're going to build on what they've got and build some kind of formalized structure to take us forward. Maybe, fingers crossed, maybe for the next couple of seasons, and then, Potter moves on then don't go out and get yourself, the next big name manager or some manager that you think is going to make the fans happy, just like we did with Pellegrini and just like Sullivan stupidly thought with Lopetegui. Go and get yourself, if you build a solid foundation, and we're doing all right, but then we want to move on, or Potter wants to move on or whatever, and it's kind of successful-ish, then go and get another manager similar to the last manager. Brighton do that. Hertzler, De Zerbi, Potter, and then De Zerbi got better than Potter, and then Hertzler better than De Zerbi. That's what we should be doing, but we don't do that. And this knee jerk of sack him, go and sack Potter, go and get another manager in. Who do we want now? Amorim again, who's done bad. Ange Postecoglou will be available at the end of the season. Should we get him in? He plays attractive football, but he's won as many games as we have, or more, give or take. Who do we get in? It's like, and I think someone said, in last week's show, we need a top six manager. Well, they don't grow on bloody tree. You don't know that they're going to be top six until you give them a chance. How do you know? I mean, what's a top six man? Why would an Arnie Slot come to West Ham United? When he's got Liverpool dangling a carrot in front of him. Amorim was meant to be the next big thing, the next top six manager. He may achieve it next season. He may not. But he hasn't done well this season, has he? But yet a lot of fans wanted Amorim in when Lopetegui was going. We top six man. What's the top? We don't know. Potter may become one of the next season's top six managers. He may become one of next season's bottom six managers. We don't know. But what we need above and beyond, we need a structure. We need a structure at West Ham United, and not keep going all the way to the left at one moment and all the way to the right at the other moment, and never the twain shall meet. We need consistency. And that's why I'm quite willing. I might be wrong, totally wrong. And there's nothing to suggest that I'll be right next season, given the football that we've seen under Potter. But I want to give him an opportunity. Let's give him that transfer window. Let's see what happens when he goes out and gets his own players. And let's see what sort of football then will be delivering to West Ham. If it's shit, he'll go. If it's not shit, then who knows where it can go. Let me go into your comments. Bolin, thing is, there's so much negativity. You have to try hard. You have to try and make a case for positives, but the football really is as dull as dishwater. John, make a bid for the Ipswich manager with a better squad. He would do well. Okay, fair point. Mark, Millwall only 3 points off playoffs and do have a good chance. Wouldn't you love the lovely West Ham versus Millwall game again? Stratford would be a no-go zone. Mark, sorry, Bolin, get that back. Yeah, agree still. If Saints won, we couldn't argue. No, couldn't argue. Frog, let the board think we believe everything is hunky-dory. Can see that working a treat. MJ, every evening to you, mate. I hope you're well. I think the most obvious thing on Saturday was how much we missed Wan-Bissaka. Totally agree with that. Totally. Nil. The temperature is in a mess. My negativity stems from those who are running the club. I feel any manager that comes in are doomed before day one. Now, I actually said that about Potter. I actually said that, if Moyes wasn't good enough, and I know Moyes had to go. But if Moyes, who won us a trophy, wasn't good enough, what chance does any other manager have? Who else have we got? Lawson. Come on, Brighton. Can't compare us with them. Chalk and cheese. Well, I've just done a long diatribe on what do you think of what I just said? Obsidian, I disagree, Troj. Most managers would try to see a game out with 10 minutes to go. Also, it wasn't totally defensive. We brought on a striker for Bonham. We brought on 5. Even I have to agree, Obsidian. We brought on 5. We had 5 defenders at the end, and we knew what was going to happen. Troj, we let Southampton boss, and we hardly had any shots. Unfortunately, I agree with that. Dale, it's not been great, but I am not Potter out at this moment in time. In the last 5 games we've seen, we have to see passion, desire, and team spirit. If we don't, then may put Potter in jeopardy. Afternoon, Hammer Molder. How are you, mate, from LA? Talking sense. Thank you very much. I hope you're well. Graham, Southampton didn't only play for the shirt, they also played for the fans, unlike our players. Really good point. Rowley Stel, agree regarding Amorim. You can't disagree. With the greatest of respect, he was the best thing since sliced bread. James, Sola did what we all thought. Breaks right wing, stops past halfway, passes back to Jake. Yeah, I'm not sure about Soler. I like him, but I'm kind of like, he's not the answer. Troj, shut up shop. 1-0 lead versus Southampton at home. Most fans won't accept. Most fans didn't accept, and that's true. Darren, Daniela, Souček definitely is a leader. You're not wrong with that. Looks like he'll be at Everton next season. I think he will be a player that's going on, probably. Danny Bass, good evening to you. Last season was terrible. This year, wow, things can only get better unless we get relegated. Dean, I've wanted to move on from Souček, but with the expectations of an exodus of Paqueta, Kudus and others, I think Souček may be needed. Maybe the player to galvanise us next season. I can't believe I'm thinking this. I have sung Souček's praises quite a long time, and people tell me I'm stupid. He's not the best, he's not the most flair player in the world, but he's a grafter. He's a grafter. Finn, and that's why I'm really surprised he hasn't got more game time in the last few games. Finn, Potter's team played a blinder, getting 2.5 years, 6-month deal, no chance he kept going on. Brady looking after her mates. Twisted bollock. I do believe if Potter never had the injuries he suffered, would have almost picked up more points. I'll tell you who we'd missed. Somerville this season. When I saw what Potter was doing with him in that cup game against Aston Villa, I tell you what, that looked really exciting, and we missed him. Michael, next season will be harder. Can't rely on promoted teams being crap. Leeds and Burnley are run well, absolutely, which is why we've got to get that transfer window right. Obsidian, Souček gets goals. Guilherme's a forward. So is Ferguson. 3 of the 5 subs weren't just defensive. I think, mate, you're right. You're right in what you said, but I think it's because he brought on a 5th defender, and we were like, why? That means you're conceding. You're saying, I'm retreating even further back. MJ, Stel, it's interesting you say we played better away. The best season under Moyes Premier League wise was during COVID with no fans at the London Stadium. It's your fault. It is. Of course, it's always my fault. Berlin, 5 at the back. Defo sent a message. We wanted to hold on instead of finishing the game. Gave them encouragement, in my opinion. That part of it looked tactical from the manager to me. It did. Lawson, Stel, all these managers have not managed in the Premier League. Potter has. Fair point. What about the Wolves manager? He didn't manage in the Premier League. But that's a fair point. Did you just crack open a fortune cookie, Frog? What did he say? Darren. Daniel, I hope he stays next season. Get rid of the crap in the locker room. Whoever is causing the locker room unrest as well. We think there's locker room unrest. I don't think that's been corroborated in any way. There certainly was when Lopetegui was here. That's true. Nathan. With the way we're playing, could it be the boardroom's fault because none of the managers that we have have got in or improving the squad? More or less what I've just said. Yeah, agree with that. Troj, we've been better playing away from home since moving to the new stadium. We've had some good times at the stadium, but on the whole, probably you're right. I'll look at the stats and see. Rowley, the fans will make a noise when there's something to get excited about. Good point. I'm the gobbiest bloke in my section, but last 3 games, even I'm quiet. Hammer Steve, football. 256 watching, 114 likes. Come on, people. Thank you. If you're new to the channel, become a subscriber. If you've yet to hit that like button, please do hit the like button. Obsidian, with 10 minutes to go, most managers would try and keep it tight at that point. And as said, he brought on a striker. That wasn't Moyes going total turtle. Hey, you got a good point. You've got a good point. Yeah. Okay. Finn, couple of good seasons and our fans have turned into deluded Spurs. This is the real West Ham. You are so right there. Frog, is having a stadium mandatory? All games sound like a plan. All games away sounds like a plan. Do we need a stadium? I don't know. I don't know. Yes, I guess we do. Andrew, I would go all out for Thomas Frank, a very good manager. He's ready for a bigger job. I think he would definitely be interested in coming here. How are we a bigger job than Brentford at this moment in time? I get you. But like I said, I'm not looking at managers at the moment. I think we need to hang on at this moment in time and see what happens. Lawson, Potter out will still he wants to manage us. Potter out will still. No, because he's a West Ham fan. Mark, good evening, mate. Abraham, he's on my list. I think Abraham could be a player we could be getting. Finn, been saying Thomas Frank for 18 months now. Kim Joe, how are you? Potter doesn't scare me. Getting players doesn't scare me. Potter doesn't scare me. Getting players doesn't scare me. The owner scares me because he's the one bringing in the players. Trudge, we cannot defend deep like we got Zuma or Dawson still. How far behind? Wow. I'm very, very far behind. Obsidian. Frank, as boring as Potter and no ambition. Brentford got safe, then hit the beach with 10 games to go. Darren, do you think we should go sign João Felix from Chelsea for 25 million in the summer? Another big time Charlie thinks he should be at a bigger club? I'm not too sure. Steve from Arizona, mate. Thank you for joining. We need diamonds in the rough players, but we need a director of football. Diamonds. A really good point. That's what we've been saying about players who want to play for the shirt. Mark, I'd like to see Stebo and a Gerd play together. That would be interesting. If a Gerd wants to be at the club. Ian, a lot of good points about the type of players to target next window. Names and money don't guarantee anything. Yeah, I want to get players who want to play for the shirt. I don't care about their name. Bolin, I get your point, Obsidian, but retreating at home to a team that has recovered 1 point from a losing position. Potter messed up there. Don't mean I want a regime change, but defo, a big mess up. Look, I think he did, to be honest with you. I don't think we should have brought on a fifth defender, but Obsidian's right. You know, he did bring on attacking players as well. Finn, we won't get young and proven players. The senior source loves a big name on a free to massage his ego. Nathan, Bilic brought unknown players and got West Ham into the top 4 to show buying well-known players doesn't make you a great team. I totally agree. Stephen, Paqueta, do you think new captain? Paqueta is a new captain. He's got the ego for it. Yeah, interesting. Yeah. Michael, Forest owners will stick 2 fingers up to the FA to get players also. Well, that's the thing. Anyone that watched the Friday night show that I did with Nigel a few weeks ago, he said that, the owners didn't care. They get fined, no problem. At least we got the players in and carry on. Andrew, we need to convince one of Paqueta or Kudus to stay. We can't afford to lose both for next season. It's a good point. It's possible that we will lose both. Mark, I'd like Premier League experienced players to come in, steady the ship. Too many foreign experiments hasn't worked out. Depends on who. Like I've said, you get players who think they shouldn't even be at West Ham. Don't get them in the first place. I do apologize. I'm going to have to scroll down a bit. I didn't realize I was literally that far behind. 10 men. Good evening to you. If we don't beat Spurs, as they say, SF on the Thursday will be the worst. As if we don't beat Spurs, they have a semi-final on Thursday, will be worst season. Yeah, we've got to get ourselves up for that. Bolin, Ferguson not being ready to come on for whatever reason is criminal. Andrew, not a Mavropanos fan, but booing the poor fella when he's coming on is such a... Did they do it again on Saturday? Because this time round I didn't hear it, but I am on the Bobby Moore lower, so I can't hear it when he's coming on to go on the other side of the pitch. Trudge, I would give Mavropanos another season as a squad player. Michael, we need a captain with the bollocks to call out players on the pitch. I don't disagree. Anthony, still, didn't Potter want Ferguson? And look at how that. Well, as I said earlier on in the show, yes, he wanted Ferguson. He wanted him as backup. It sounds to me that he had no intention of playing him unless he had absolutely no choice. Trudge, Mavropanos is more commanding in the air than Kilman. I agree with that. And more aggressive. Just hope he has less brain farts. Obsidian, Loppy hung the defense out to dry, but I think Potter protects them. They still make mistakes, but he's got them slightly better organized. Bolin, the frustrating thing is we pride ourselves on being classy fans and then do shitty things like booing players coming on. I can't believe we didn't boo him again for the third time, did we? Finn, David Blunkett would be a good alternative, knows nothing about football, but can hold on to it. Lawson, remember we were relegated with 42 points. That shows how poor this season has been. Absolutely agree. True Culture, I heard you said the midfield doesn't have pace. Could you explain what you mean by that? What's there to explain? Ward-Prowse is not fast. Solaire's not fast. Paqueta's not fast. Kudus has got pace, but he plays out on the left, so he's not in the middle. Bowen is not really fast. Wan-Bissaka's fast. That's what I mean. Unless I've missed someone and you think they've got pace, I don't know. 10 men. Bowen is okay as a captain. He gives everything most games. He must get his arse kicked by Danny Dyer. Darren, I think we'll do better next season. With the transfer window in pre-season, I think Potter will do okay. What's okay to you guys? What will okay be? I said I think we'll finish about 11th or 12th. Is that okay? Or are you expecting us in the top 10? Andrew, I'm not convinced we will win any of our remaining games. Stephen, we need to revitalise our midfield with young, pacey players. Get rid of James Ward-Prowse. Darren Stell, I can message you when you finish, mate. Okay, no problem at all, mate. Trudge, playing for England is when Rice and Bowen get tapped up. Yeah. No, we'll never win anything, England, until we have 3 West Ham players. Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Jared Bowen. I would have said Kilman, but fuck me, no. Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Jared Bowen, and when we buy another English player, McAtee, when we get him in, and then Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Carl Walker-Peters, McAtee, and Jared Bowen, four English players in West Ham squad. They all go into the England team, and we win a trophy. That's how it works. Trust me, that's how it works. Obsidian, these players should want to make us a bigger club, not take a shortcut through us. Unfortunately, though, Obsidian, that's exactly what they do, though, isn't it? Who else have we got? Stell, I'm almost 69, Graham. Will I ever see us get a good manager again? David Moyes, we had. You saw him. I hope everything is good with you, Graham. Is the weather getting warmer there in Canada? Andrew, we need to be investing more time with our academy players. Earthy, Orford, Scars and Potts should be in our squad next season, fighting for the place, including Guilherme. Earthy, maybe 50-50. Orford will be sent out on loan. Scars, definitely. Potts, definitely. Guilherme, definitely. Bolin, yeah, I agree still. I would regard a 30-40 million pound player as a big signing. Usual. West Ham are a shit show at the moment. Fortunately, there are 3 bigger ones, or worse ones. Nigel, good evening, mate. Relegation beckons. Oh, good grief. I never thought I'd hear that from you. Oh, God. That's a downer. Obsidian. Sullivan wants 10-year deals because he knows he won't still be here one way or another. Who else have got? Andrew. We ain't going down. We're shit right now, but we've got good players who need better organisation. Lawson, the problem starts with the elf who's running the club. Obsidian, Frog, are you holding a seance? Get Lyle and Greenwood on the line, will you? Clive, yeah, Trudge said, interesting, but I must say Adidas are the best boots out there. I don't know what you're all talking about, but Adidas are great boots. Gennaro, yes, still. Paqueta and Kudus come to West Ham to play European football, not a circus with one inept manager after the other pulling the strings. It's no wonder they want to be elsewhere. I think from the moment they arrived, they wanted to be elsewhere. To be really, really honest with you. Steve, who's watching Robert Banks, John Lyle years when we lost to Sunderland 6-0 in 77 when we went down? And the commentator said, Trevor Brooking could do so much better in a big team. Nothing has changed. There you go. There you go. Look at that. All those years ago, and we're talking about the same sort of stuff as we are now. Andrew, Southampton and Ward-Prowse should not be starting games in the Premier League. It's not difficult to understand why we continue to struggle, but, no choice with Southampton. Wan-Bissaka was injured. Get Kelleher in and Sean. Yeah, I'd love to, but I think there'll be a queue for him as well. Frog, statistically, Brooking was our best manager by a country mile. 14 games, I think, to be fair. Yeah, he was good, but only 14 games. Darren, Green Street, I love Bonds as manager. Was my first ever time going, and we got promoted. Love him as a manager. Andrew, Brooking was brilliant as a caretaker. He almost kept us up. Trudge, Daniela, sorry. Trudge, as far as I'm concerned, Arsenal were not interested in Rice. He signed the boot deal in March 23, so he must have been talking to them for 6 months. The Arsenal links came in January 23. What are you talking about? I missed out, but I'm not going back to try and understand it. Trudge, Nottingham Forest signed 21 players in one transfer window, breaking the English record for most signings in a single window. And I think they got fined, didn't they? Mr. Williams, good evening, Shirley. Your friends can't be wrong. Well, they are. You always are. You're all bloody wrong uns. I know that, especially for the bloody round I bought on Saturday night. God, that's going to live in memory. Gaza, Still, great show. Thank you very much. We will never have another Lyle with this new fan base. Remember, he took us down and up, played some great crap football, some crap football, still probably our best manager. Exactly that. We've said it, Gaz, several times before. What would John Lyle be going through right now with all the social media scrutiny? My God, he'd be crucified. He wouldn't be held up as an icon, would he? There's just no way. Imagine going down and then get him out, bloody Lyle, get him out, bloody relegating us. That's what would have happened, wouldn't it? You know that. Andrew, the next transfer window is crucial. If we get it wrong, the decline could be terminal. I think it's a huge risk to entrust Potter to do this. I don't know. It's a huge risk to trust anyone, that comes in to do this. To be honest with you, the same will happen whether it be Potter or another manager, to be honest. Josh, I remember keeping track of pre-season under Loppy, and even then we were not playing well and kept losing. Obviously not serious games, but it wasn't a surprise a few months down the line. Paul, keep to three at the back. We are much better in that formation. It's a Scarles loan for me next season. I keep the young lad. I keep. He's had some of the. He's been in quite serious competition. The lesson that he got from Salah last week, that'll live in his memory. He won't allow a player to turn him like that again. I wouldn't send him out on loan. I'd keep him, to be honest. Bolin. Andrew, my queue is, what makes you think Potter is buying? Everything I've seen suggests it will be others. Macaulay, that's why I think he's buying. Paul, keep 2-3 at the back. We're much better than that. Sorry, I've read that one already. Who else have we got? Lawson, still, you hit the nail on the head. Our board do not care so long as we remain in the Premier League. They're making their money. Yep. And Frog, Sullivan must have known that Potter could only do anything with his style of players. What is this style that over his management career has conceded more goals than he has scored? Anyone? Fair point. Daniela, still, with you, we need to stay with Potter. I'm not his biggest fan, but I am willing to give him a full season. I'm willing to give him half a season and see how it goes from there. Nigel, we're not a top 6 team. We're not a top 8 team. Once some fans realise that, maybe things may appear better. Pete, how are you, mate? Potter has the right to manage next season because it does us no good to keep bouncing managers out. Absolutely agree. James, good evening to you, mate. Potter will be okay. Midfield will be the key. West Ham fans need to stop moaning. We already paid 2 managers off. Scott, he has had to put this together on the fly with players picked by 2 different managers and an owner. Debenham Dave, thank you, Daz. Much appreciated. And thank you for joining, mate. Debenham Dave, totally agree. Let's get direction, structure, and give Potter a chance. Obsidian, Amorim inherited a dysfunctional team, just like Potter. So why is it that people seem quite happy to allow Amorim, even though he's not our manager? It's all right, Amorim will get it right, but not Potter. Lawson, how long have we left our spiritual home? Foundations should have been in place when they have hoodwinked us to move to this soulless bowl. Good evening to you, Nick. What you are asking Stel for? What you are asking for Stel can and will never be delivered under Sullivan. Potter and McCauley ain't buying all these players in the summer. You know that. I don't know. I think they're identifying them, and then the proof will be in whether they're going to be gotten or not. I don't think. I think Potter. Look, Potter. By the way, I can't remember which player it was in the winter transfer window. He turned down a striker who said, "I don't want that player," and it was offered to him, and he said, "That's not the sort of player I want." And then he went up and got Ferguson. So let's see. We don't know how it's going to turn out. We know Sullivan likes to dip his fingers in the transfer window. We know that. We know that he's got Salthouse and other agents that keep putting players in front of him, going, "Oh, you should go for this one. You should go for that one." Apparently, that's how we got Somerville. But I think Potter and McCauley will. I tell you why I think they'll have more chance of buying players is because they're not necessarily going to be getting players that are going to be that expensive. And that's music to Sullivan's ears. So when Potter and McCauley say this player's only 15 mil, this player's only 10 mil, this player might be 25 mil, I think Sullivan will go, yeah, all right, because they're not 30, 40, 50 million pound players. Bolin, I hope Potter does have input. Whatever the structure at the football club, it's important for a manager coach to be involved with player recruitment. I agree with that. Good evening to you as well, Pete. Scott, he has played youngsters and most likely will integrate more next season. I agree. I think Potts will come in. Earthy, I'm not sure. Maybe. Let's see what happens in pre-season. I think Scarles will stay. We've got Guilherme as well. By the way, we've got that young lad from Paris FC, Mohamedou Kante. I don't know what he's like. He's played a handful of games. He didn't play again at the weekend, but he's played a handful of games for Paris FC. So he's going to have some interesting young talent there. Mark, Will still is talking of always forward pass. Whole team presses as one until the opposition make a mistake, and then you try to get the ball into their box to finish. French league, no disrespect, French league. It might be easier. I don't know. I don't watch French football, but I'm guessing it's probably easier to be able to do that sort of style than it is in the Premier League. Premier League is a whole different ball game. James, all the cash in their pockets, slowing them down. Up the toffees. Good evening to you. Moving ground has been to the detriment to the fans and the club and institution, run by Muppets outside looking in. You must be excited about next season, though, in your new stadium. Trodge. Under Moyes, it was drab, then J-Lo, and now third manager, plus the prices all going up for everything. People just with higher expectations. Mark, how far behind am I now? Getting there. Mark, Moyes players had attitude. Loppy players had attitude. Potter players have attitude. Think there could be a common denominator. Maybe Potter needs the summer and get rid of some bad influences. Scott, the worst of it is when we went from regular European competition and we failed to build on it with Lopetegui's appointment. Board is at fault for that. Should we have kept Moyes? I mean, I'm seriously asking that. I know it was time for him to go, but should we have kept Moyes? I don't know. James, those who continuously want new managers when the going gets tough, are you like this whilst out toy shopping with money? Calm down. Trodge, love the counter-attack style when we bullied teams. It would be nice to even go back to that and have only 30% possession, and then everyone will moan that we've only got 30% possession, but we're scoring goals for fun. Steve, started another project, but no time was given to complete it. He fucked up, though, didn't he? Let's be honest. Give Potter time, even though that was the worst performance by the team in Potter. Let's talk about Stein. I did say this before, and it's thanks to Nigel knows him, the German. I always forget his name, but the German West Ham fan who said to me, "Watch this, read this, listen to this, etc." Stein was a bit of a fraud, I'm afraid. How come no big teams are in for him? Do you remember when he was caught in Liverpool? Yeah, I don't mind going there. Where are they? Why are all the big teams not queuing up to get Steiden at their clubs? Andrew, Potter seems quiet to me. I don't think he's got a big enough personality to deal with the big players. That's possible. Scott, remember Southampton, Kudus, Paqueta, Soler, Rodriguez, Ings, Alvarez, Emerson are all gone next year and probably a few more. Southampton, yeah, end the contract. Kudus almost definitely. Paqueta for one reason or another. Soler, yeah. Rodriguez, yeah. Ings, yeah. End of contract. Alvarez, possibly. Emerson, possibly. Yeah. And you're right. And a few more on top of that. Mark, Will Still is displaying, managing masterclass at the moment of Sky Sports. We need his telephone number to get him signed if Potter doesn't improve. Am I doing Will Still misjustice? Is he that good? I don't know. James, one of the most surprising stats this season is Chris Wood at Forest getting 19 goals and he's 33. If we'd have signed him, there would have been an absolute outcry, but then he would have only scored 3 goals. So I would have understood the outcry. Let's scroll down. Glennie, good evening, mate. I hope you're well. I'm hopeful Potter will get the team playing better next season. I'm just worried how much rebuilding will be needed as we'll lose some of our best players, I think. But I'm beginning to wonder, are our best players our best players? You know, LTEL. West Ham need new owners who can fix the mess like we had at Everton for the last 6 years, manager after manager. This is the thing. Manager after manager, no continuity, no consistency. It hurts. Trodge, I think we should go back to the COVID period and have a big, strong team that counters and suits Bowen and Kudus' style. James, trolls must be making comments. Hard to believe they are West Ham fans. Well, everyone's got a right to have a comment. Don't agree with all of them. Scott, I can't see Kudus and Paqueta staying. Neither can I. In fact, I'd rather they left and went for young, fast players. Who else have we got? GP. Toha, Brendan, Howard, Greasy. What are you? Oh, you're saying good night. Good night, GP. Thank you for watching and listening and getting involved, mates. Scott, we're massively better organised than under Loppy. Well, that weren't hard. Trodge. J-Lo kept asking slow players to press high and leave tons of space behind us. Well, he was trying to get them forward so that we can relieve some of the pressure that we had against Southampton at home. Darren, Guilherme is fast but doesn't play long enough. Still learning for me. I think he might become a decent player. Scott, we have zero midfield. It's by far our biggest issue. One decent midfielder, not counting wingers, would change our team completely. Don't necessarily disagree with that. James, how many have seen the video short of Noble telling the youngsters what it means to wear the West Ham shirt? Can't say no, I have. Kian, good evening, mate. Potter done well securing a future after 6 months. So I'm guessing you're Potter in then. Bolin. Guilherme is fast but defensively naive. He's young and learning, but it's a flaw at this level. Agreed with that. Who else have we got here? Andrew, we need a Vivian Foe, a Diamante type player. Powerhouse in midfield is imperative. We bring one in before the start. I totally agree. We need that box-to-box midfielder, that dynamic midfielder who, you know, might not be the best player, but someone that can shake things up a little bit. Someone who can get the defense and the midfield and the attack all gelled together. I don't disagree with that at all. True culture. But Man City midfielder got Ballon d'Or. He's not a player with pace since he got injured. The team is not the same, so I disagree. Yeah, okay. Yeah, fair point. But then he's got good pacey players all around him, which allows him to play his own game. Kian. Someone will come in and pay his release clause in installments, so long as we get the money. I don't know who you mean. I'm guessing Kudus or I don't know, Kudus or Paqueta you're talking about. Mark, Will Still is talking. Yep, done that one. Sorry, mate. Who else have we got? Eltel. Robert De Zerbi, he'd be a good manager at West Ham. Well, he did well at Brighton. I don't think he's happy at... Is it Marseille he's at the moment? Don't think he's that happy at Marseille at the moment, is he? Andrew would definitely keep Guilherme. I think it would be a big mistake to let him leave. Scott, we could be a top 8 team, but we need to get younger and faster players, and we need a midfield. Frog, imagine winning the FA Cup and losing the title by 2 games as well. It'd be nice to get into the FA Cup later rounds rather than just going out in the third round, wouldn't it? Gaz, we need young striker, 2 central midfielders with pace and strength. GP, me grabbing Nick's beard and licking him all over his chocolate sauce covered body. He knows that. Mark, if Potter is in charge next season, we are done. I don't know. Let's see. I don't know. I know it's not good at the moment, but let's see how it goes. Andrew, in hindsight, maybe we made a mistake not going for McTominay. He'd be fantastic for. He's been fantastic for Napoli. Ironically, he's the kind of player that we maybe we should have tried to get harder. Eltel. Moyes be unbelievable at Everton. Money to spend now, new ground, onwards and upwards after years of crap. You must be happy that he's there. Baldrick, good evening. Just browsing and you pop up. Good evening to you. Haven't seen you for ages. I hope you're well. Darren, Eltel, Moyes wrecked this club, got rid of loads of players, never replaced them, but signed OAPs. That's what got us in this mess in the first place. Montana, Stel, are you confident we can even beat a dead Spurs team? Of course I am. Trodge. Moyes went downhill and our football went when we lost Irving as assistant manager and Stuart Pearce soon after. Trodge again. So I think it was backroom staff more than anything. He's got Irving back at Everton, hasn't he? James. Paqueta screwed us bad with the gambling thing. Our plans went sideways. Yeah, he would have been sold. We'd have got 80 odd million and we'd have built the team again. James, Stel, look up how many games we've played since being at London Stadium. 413 total, 167 wins, 91 draws, 172 losses. Pretty balanced. Darren, yeah, we definitely missed them when they left, mate, and we need a set-piece coach as well. Montana, Moyes started this decline after failing to find a replacement for Lingard. I bet we get 20 million for Souček. Now, if we get 20 million for Souček, I'll be absolutely happy. 30 years of age, he's been with us for 5 years, and we bought him for just over 20 million. I'd take that. Who else have we got? Mark, remember, Potter is Brady's pick. What players would want to come to West Ham? If we're looking at players like Walker Peters to take us forward, we are done. I like Walker Peters. To be honest, Mark, I think he was one of their better players at the weekend, which isn't saying much, but I actually don't think Walker Peters is that bad. Mouster, Souček could be our Chris Wood if we put him up front. Same height, build, and Tom's got 3 or 4 years on Woods. Yeah. Montana. Daniela, you're being very disingenuous. Most, if not all, fans never wanted Loppy, yet Pygmy sideline Timmy, though Tim also was not the right man for the job. Paul, another boring manager that doesn't fit. People really happy watching this shit? Well, at this moment in time, no one's happy. But let's see what happens next season. Frog, Moyes has only won 1 of his last 6 games. He's hardly the second coming. Is that all? I thought he won more than that, but there you go. Trodge, hard to remember many good box-to-box midfielders we had. George Paris. Not if Nigel's still on, he'll tell us. Darren, Daniela Stewart saw his face when he was warming up. No one clapping him, completely banging out of order. Who was warming up? No one clapping him. Was into box to box. Yeah. Agreed. Montana, Loppy twisted our hand into signing overpriced Pony Kilman. I hate this board, man. Brighton fell out with De Zerbi because he wanted to ignore players not on their top board. When Rice tried to do box to box, it cost us. It absolutely did. That's very true. It did. Andrew, Rice got better players around him at Arsenal, to be fair. Wash your mouth out with soap, Andrew. That's it. We've done 2 hours and 12 minutes, people. So I'm going to call it a night. Thank you all for watching and thank you all for listening. It's been quite an intriguing, quite an interesting conversation tonight. You know, we've got a lot of different views. This is West Ham, isn't it? You know, we don't agree on things like whether Potter should stay at West Ham. Look, I am torn. I won't lie to you. I am torn. 2 hours too short, GP. Leave off, mate. I am torn, to be honest with you. I want him to succeed, but you know, when we were linked to him in the first place, I went, I'm not sure. I don't think he was that great at Brighton. He was all right. He was steady. He was steady at Brighton, you know, and that's all I thought we'd get. Now, I want to give him a chance. You know, it may go belly up. It may do, but we won't know. So let's give him that opportunity. Let's give him that chance to get a squad in the summer and see where we are at the beginning of next season. If it's anything like it is now, you're absolutely right. Potter should leave. But if it's not, then who knows what might happen. Thank you all for joining. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for hitting the like button. Thank you all for becoming a subscriber if you haven't already done so. And I will see you all very, very soon.